Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Shadows. So we're actually doing something I haven't done in a while. I think the last We Talk Movies podcast was when me and my son we did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that was episode 5. Yeah, so it's been a kind of while, but this is actually gonna be a so this is gonna be actually this might be 4 to 5 parts. I want to say of this one here of Harry Potter talk. We're actually gonna be doing the Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets in this one. The next one we're gonna do Prisoner of Azkaban and the Goblet of Fire. The next one's gonna be um, the Order of Phoenix and Half Blood Prince, and then of course the last one's gonna be of course the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. So, but yeah, I'm actually this is sad because after our Halloween party last week, and then of course we kind of started talking about Harry Potter. I was like, let's talk about Harry Potter. Donnie's got some pretty good stuff that that he understands because he's a big Harry Potter fan, and we can talk with him about Harry Potter too. Which that's going to be pretty awesome, like I said, because he knows probably more than I do. I mean, I watch movies. I really haven't read the books that much. I read a couple of books, but I haven't read like all of them. So he probably knows a lot more than I do. And then of course probably Aaron too. He probably knows a lot more than I do too about Harry Potter. But be nice to go ahead and talk about it. And then I also want to say one other thing. I appreciate you and one of you guys, especially everybody everybody's crowding me, and then of course everybody in the chats like that. It's always an honor for you guys, to be here like that. I really enjoy it. I really appreciate each and one of you guys. And like I say, I always want to make sure I am who I am. I want to be anything different. So like I said, I really do appreciate each and one of you guys. So, and then of course, man, if you're watching this, I didn't forget about you. I had to wait for maintenance to come in here. I got maintenance coming like fix a couple things, so I had to wait here and stuff like that. So they'll be here tomorrow too. So I'm gonna try to get your package out either tomorrow, sometime tomorrow afternoon, or if not tomorrow, either Wednesday or Thursday. But I'm gonna get out to you. Don't worry. I said I haven't forgot about you or anything else. I'm gonna try to get out to you as soon as I can. But hope you understand. But again, I just want to make sure to tell you guys thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys. And I said, wouldn't be one for you guys. So, but again, I do this for fun. I said I love talking about everything pretty much, but mostly Halloween and Michael Myers. But again, I just want to thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. But without further ado, go ahead and bring on my first guest. The other two seem to be kind of late right now, but we've got my first guest coming on. And like I said, I love him. Like I said, he's the Irish man. That's what I'm told. So, but he's an awesome guy. Love him. He's great. And y'all know and love him as Mr. Brass Boy Aaron.
Hey, I'm the honorary Weasley over here. I don't know what house I'd be in. Supposedly I'd be Gryffindor or Hufflepuff, but I don't know.
Gryffindor or Hufflepuff? I see you more like a Ravenclaw.
I'm not that smart though. I hear Ravenclaws are like.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a Gryffindor myself, man. Hey,
let's go 2 for 2. Let's see what the other guests are.
I don't know what the other guests would be, but I'm definitely a Gryffindor.
My wife was telling me that I am a Gryffindor for sure.
So let's go and get into the first.
It's funny. I just started listening to the audio book. I haven't. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. It's like you're lagging a little bit.
My signal's bad.
Yeah.
No, my signal's kind of bad, but I just started listening to the audiobooks, and it's really cool because it feels like I'm finally being a part of a club that like I'd never been a part of. Like there's so much that the movie has to cut down on for runtime, so they cut it out, but it's still really interesting stuff, I think. So I'm excited to see what Donnie says about some stuff like that.
Yeah, because when it comes to Harry Potter, the movies
I highly recommend the audiobooks.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the books, I mean, when it comes to movies, they was going to cut out a lot of stuff because, I mean, you have a freaking like a huge book, they had to cut some of that stuff down. Yeah, they always have to cut stuff down. So, like I said, so they always got to cut certain things, and of course, especially like certain scenes, and of course, I don't like it when they pick certain scenes, they change the scenes. I suppose, of course, like at the end of Deathly Hallows, where
That makes
Harry, Harry's like fighting Voldemort in front of everybody. So, and then of course in the movie they're just by himself, Which I wish they kind of
1v1
away with that. Yeah, but I mean, it kind of is what it is. But we got our other guests on, and of course, this guy is a big Harry Potter fan. Like I said, he knows a lot more than I do. But of course, we're going to get his opinion on everything. Because like I said, we're going to talk about the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets. And I really want to talk about the Chamber of Secrets because that whole basilisk thing. Again, like I said, I mean, I know a big old snake can live off of one tiny little chicken. I mean, like it's
a magical chicken.
Snake.
It's a magical chicken. It's got so much magical protein shape.
I guess, man.
It's what we want. You know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, right? For like me personally, I'm a big guy. I'm a huge guy. I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
Right? If I ate a little tiny chicken wing, I don't think that's gonna hold me over for a long period of time. I mean, like I said, you got snakes like anacondas and pythons like that. They eat a whole damn freaking leopard or freaking alligator. Even like little snakes, they eat other snakes, but still, that's a big old like little snake to eat. Whole body, right? Yeah. I still don't see a big old snake like that.
Look, if I can have
pretty much a magical titanoboa.
If I can have a magical chicken though, and have magical chicken wings, dude,
that can make us stay full for eons.
Yes. I don't see how that's not a win-win.
I don't know, but you all know and love him as none other than Mr. Donatello.
I'm very amused by this argument.
Dude, am I not wrong? A magical chicken wing? Like, I don't see how that's a bad thing. I've had trash actual chicken wings. I would love to have a magical chicken wing. That's all I'm saying.
It's like when you had that ice cream that one time, you were like, it's the shit.
Oh,
literally. God. And then you were like,
look, I was still learning what literally meant, and I was so caught up in the moment.
We were in 8th grade.
Good. Hey, you know what's sad is that we don't even have Cold Stone here anymore, so I can't even say that anymore.
That's what it was from?
Yes, it's.
I don't even know what that is. Like,
oh my god, it's the shit. It's just not here anymore.
Not literally. Like, okay.
So Shape and I said that we're a Gryffindor. Can you confirm for the audience what you are? You've told me what you are, but so they know.
Slytherin.
Yeah, Slytherin. He's like Slytherin.
You don't necessarily have to be. You don't have to be, completely ass backwards evil to be in Slytherin. I think that's hilarious that like the narrative makes it look like all the bad people just go to Slytherin, but there are Death Eaters from every house that have joined at some point.
You told me Peter Pettigrew was a Gryffindor, and it's just like,
man, that guy was the biggest chicken. That was he was a chicken.
That doesn't mean that he wasn't in Gryffindor.
Nah, man. Hey, you know what? If he was a true Gryffindor, man,
he was the chicken that the basilisk should have ate to sustain him, because that dude is a plump bastard.
To be fair, the sword would have probably appeared to Peter before it ever would have appeared to Voldemort. So, it says something.
I didn't think about that.
About the fact that him
the
being
Gryffindor
like
in need,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got our first chat of the night, you guys, and of course, as always, the lovely Mrs. Shape.
Hey, Miss Shape, what house are you, Miss Shape? Let us know. Or has she told you what she is?
Oh, her match. I mean,
Ravenclaw?
I don't know what she be.
Ravenpluff? Slitherdor? I don't know. Yo, it'd be amazing seeing Buckbeak fight the basilisk. Oh my god.
He wouldn't stand a chance. He wouldn't stand a chance because how if he looks at the basilisk, it's over.
Yeah, but he's not gonna look. Because Buckbeak's not.
He's gotta look. He's gotta look.
Yeah, you gotta know where you're
swoop
going.
around that big bastard and then just
and see. And the thing, and that's also part of why Dumbledore sent Fawkes. Well, he didn't send Fawkes. Like Harry, like praising Dumbledore, called him to him.
Yeah,
and part of the reason why it was so useful that particular creature went is because, other than the fact that it plucked out the eyes of the basilisk, it could have not done that and still been useful, because even as a baby it can carry like a bunch of weight and still has the healing tears and all that stuff. So it could have looked at the basilisk, died, came back, and still helped Harry. It actually does that in the Order of the Phoenix book, like, because you can't block Avada Kedavra, and so Voldemort had shot one at Dumbledore, but Dumbledore couldn't move anything in front of him in time, and Fawkes came out of the fireplace and ate it right as it got to
like
Dumbledore.
what Hedwig did in Deathly Hallows, right?
Well, I think that you actually killed Hedwig on purpose.
I hate that. Yeah. Dude. I remember when you showed me that dude, I was like, yeah, that checks out with his little freaking rat tail and shit.
Wait, hang on. So you ain't tell me Fawkes came and swooped up and ate that Avada Kedavra?
Yeah.
In the Order of the Phoenix book, because you know how in the movies, like, they always do the thing where like the wands connecting, you see like the two spells. That only should be with Voldemort and Harry. So like when Dumbledore and Voldemort had that wasn't
because they had the same core, right?
Right, and with him having the Elder Wand, it's not the same core that Voldemort had, so that shouldn't happen. But just for the sake of the movie, that's why they did it that way. But in the book, they're having more of a fight where they're just shooting spells at each other, and Voldemort is shooting Avada Kedavra, while I think Dumbledore was trying to get Harry out of the way, and Fawkes came flying out of the fireplace, one of the fireplaces in the Ministry, and he ate it right as it got to Dumbledore. So of course it killed him, but then like there's a part in that chapter that highlights there's a baby phoenix being born on the floor as the fight is continuing between arguably the two greatest wizards of all time. Like, and see, I know eventually we'll get there, but that's one thing I always liked is like they always talk about how Voldemort feared Dumbledore, right? But when it came time to box him, he knew, hey, if I bitch out right now, I ain't never gonna live it down. I got to fight him, even if I can't beat him, I gotta fight him.
It's funny that you say that, Donnie, because I was rewatching the Chamber of Secrets the other night with Sia, which she left me this lovely message that says, "Yes, come to the book side. We have accuracy." Because she and Donnie are two of like the biggest Harry Potter fans that I know of. So it's nice to kind of like get into that whole, like I said, kind of like club. And I never noticed that how you showed me in Hogwarts Legacy, Donnie, the 4 like tubes that track the house points. I never noticed that was in the Great Hall when they dueled in the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah,
it's in that back corner. Donnie showed me. Yeah.
And I think it's that
shit. How many times I've seen that?
I cannot think of the name of the architect because I think he's in the Hogwarts Legacy game as well. But there's that scene where they're not hiding, but they're levitating the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Harry and Ron, and they hide behind that statue. And it's the statue of like an old wizard, and he's holding the castle in his hand. In the other hand, he's got a staff, and like next to him is a lion. And then there's like a snake wrapped around his arm. There's a badger on his shoulder. Like, yeah. Nice. And he was the, I thought it was Headmaster Dippet. It's actually the creator of, the architect of the castle. I'm just blanking on what his name is. But that's what that statue that Harry and Ron are like hiding behind when Crabbe and Goyle find the floating cupcake. Yeah. And then there's like a deleted scene right there too, where it shows them putting them in the closet and like pulling their hair out and stuff. Like that's not in the theatrical cut. Because there's a scene where, when they're turning back, like, Malfoy is talking to them, but then like Harry's scar starts to reappear, Ron's hair starts like coming back through. So they run out. There's a scene, another deleted scene where they run out, they're running back to the prefect's bathroom where Myrtle is, because remember Hermione wouldn't leave because she got turned into the cat. And they run into Crabbe and Goyle, but they still look like Crabbe and Goyle. And like, so the 4 of them are staring. They're staring at each other, and then like like Crabbe looks at Crabbe, Goyle looks at Goyle, and then they both look at each other, and then Harry and Ron just take off running and go back to the bathroom.
I was hoping you would say, Donnie, that Harry and Ron as Crabbe and Goyle would kick the other one in the dishpan. Roo.
No,
I know you love that saying.
Yeah, shout out to Courage the Cowardly Dog. We definitely should talk about that shape because that's horror. I mean,
it scared the shit out of me as a
kid. It was a little scary for children to be watching, for 7-year-olds. But
so is Harry Potter. Like, I say that Harry Potter is like the fantasy Jurassic Park equivalent. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And it's like, how many people have died here for real?
Yeah,
what?
And the show just gets darker and darker. Whereas like Jurassic Park started to make less and less sense as it went on.
Yeah,
Harry Potter just got darker and darker and darker as it went on. Like,
it's like, you think this is sad? Well, buckle up. That sucks.
Yeah, and then like we're gonna take Harry and then we're gonna kill everybody that he knows except his two best friends. Like, not that they weren't on the verge of dying, but everybody else that he knew that helped him pretty much got killed in some kind of way.
You like this character? Oh wow, that's too bad.
That's really what she did, though. Like, that's really what she did. I remember when I first read Dobby's death, when I was reading Deathly Hallows, I was like, I think I yelled out, "Ain't no fucking way!" Like, because I was like, "There's like what? How?"
If I was Harry, would you not be like, "Hey, Fawkes, can you cry into this vial 97 times, and then you just have a healing potion, and then he saves it for stories later? It's like, oh, Dobby, no way, I got you, man. Bellatrix isn't shit with her little dagger."
I don't think it works that way.
Yeah,
I think
for me it does.
I don't think you can harness. His
tears. It has to be fresh. Like you really have to try it out and it's fresh.
Put it in a freezer.
Because there's the one thing that always bothered me about that scene was, remember how Harry just got the Dittany to fix Ron's shoulder after he got splinched?
Yeah,
it was in that bag. Did it real quick. I know Hermione still had that fucking bag. Now, she was traumatized from getting fucked up by Bellatrix. I get it. But that didn't mean that Harry couldn't have ran to the bag, got the shit, and tried to help Dobby. The fact that they all just kind of stood there and let him die, was kind of crazy.
Come on, son.
It was part of the story.
I guess it was.
They got to give you more space. You got to more deaths, man. Come on.
The movies needed to talk about the other house elves more. Like that, they play a very large role. I mean, they work at the school, for fuck's sake. And they're not
sweaters. Isn't that right? You told me.
And the food.
And the food. Yeah. Mm.
And Hermione was trying to get Hermione thought it was a form of slavery, so she was trying to get them emancipated from working.
Kind of advocacy. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Because she thought it was more like a torturous kind of thing. But most of the elves enjoyed working there because Dobby started working there, after the ending of the chamber thing. But, Shape, was there anything was there any particular things that you wanted to go over, or you just just a movie or just a story?
I was probably going to talk about movies. Talk about movies kind of with the books too. I want to say I've read the first 2 books, so but I do want to talk about certain things. Going off to the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, when it came to Professor Quirrell, we all know that Voldemort, Voldemort kind of with him, whatever. But there was actually a thing to where I don't know if this is true or not, but Professor Quirrell was actually very, very smart. He was very, and so he was headstrong, everything else, right? So in a way, there was no point that Voldemort could have done what he did with Quirrell and be part of him, right? But there was a thing to where that Quirrell ran into Gilderoy Lockhart. They ran into him in the woods, and then of course Gilderoy Lockhart used
his memory,
the forgetting spell, and then it weakened Quirrell's mind. Yeah, and then that's when Voldemort was able to penetrate into Quirrell's mind.
No, that's a thing because he found Quirrell in Albania.
Yeah.
He found Quirrell in Albania because when Voldemort, after he tried to kill Harry and it turned him back into like a spirit, he fled from Godric's Hollow and went to Albania. Albania, I told you guys, is where he had hidden the diadem in a tree. That's where the ghost of Ravenclaw Tower had taken it from her mother in an attempt to like destroy it or hide it, whatever, like to almost like sully the Ravenclaw name. And she but then Voldemort came looking for it because he was trying to make a Horcrux out of the 4 creators
houses,
items. Yeah. And you know how the Gray Lady tells Harry, like, it's funny, you remind me of him, because the same way that Voldemort was cunning to get what he wanted, Harry had to be that way to get the same thing. So it reminded her, but she is the one, she went and like put it in a tree in Albania, like knowing her mom would never find it. Then she told Tom where to find it when he was 17. And then that's when he had went, made the Horcrux. And then when he came back to get the Defense Against the Dark Arts job that Dumbledore wouldn't give him, that's when he went and hid it in the Room of Requirement. That's why the Room of Requirement is like all junky and shit, because he needed a place to hide it. Like, who's ever going to find it with all this stuff in here? But you're right, though. Gilderoy Lockhart, as he said in the Chamber of Secrets, I'm very gifted with memory charms. And obviously, he just took credit for all that stuff, but he would kind of like catch you off guard. You know what I mean? Because I'm not saying that Quirrell was like as good as Snape is as far as like mastering the dark arts and dueling and all that shit, but he definitely could have fought back, is what I'm trying to say. He was capable of doing that.
Miss Shape's going to she going to Bex. I don't know what Bex is, but going to bed, guys. Yeah, have a good night, Miss Shape.
I swear to God, man. When the headline comes out that you died, I already am gonna know the reason.
Whatever.
You're not gonna mourn first. You're gonna be like, oh.
I didn't say I wouldn't mourn. I just, yeah, about time.
you didn't preface with like, oh shit. Here's a.
Yeah, it's about time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Hey, that's not me, Shape. I'm like, damn.
Hey, come on, guys. Don't you guys know us already? You can't kill the boogeyman. That's simple.
That's true. Unless you pin him to an island in the kitchen with knives.
I was gonna say you put him into a freaking trash compactor. That seemed to.
See, that's the one she killed him. Anything else?
Wait.
That ain't how we do things, though.
Please tell me that you're not like a mile within the nearest like auto body shop that
he works.
Well, I mean, sure wants to. I mean, honestly, okay. Sure wants to. She can just go to my job, put me on the forklift, on the forks, lift my body up, and throw me in the shredder.
Wow.
And my job is actually right down the road. My job is like 4 minutes away from here.
Bruh, I envy that commute. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I work in a factory, and I said, it's a recycle plant. Like I said, we so this is a rundown of my job, right? I'm the supervisor on that shit, but so our company is basically recycling, but it's mainly aluminum and copper.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do like big old radiators, right? But all the radiators are like compressed together in these big old huge bales. They're like 2,000, like 3,000 pound, 4,000 pound bales, right? So what we do is we weigh the bales out. We have to write them the weight, everything else. So then we pick them up, pick them on the forklift, lift them all the way up, and dump them in this freaking big old shredder. We dump it in there, and the shredder just eats it, and then so it breaks into pieces, and then it goes on the belt, and it goes up into the mill. The mill breaks it down to smaller pieces, and then it goes in from the mill to the granulator, and the granulator cuts it to finer pieces, like real small pieces, and then it goes from the granulator to the Roby, goes to the first Roby. And the first Roby separates aluminum and the copper. So it vibrates and separates. So the copper will go up, aluminum will go down. Because the copper weighs more, aluminum weighs less. So then the copper will go into a box or a bag. We do bags now, so that goes in there. And then, of course, the aluminum will go into another Roby to get rid of the excess copper that kind of fell down with the aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
and then the aluminum goes onto another belt into a bag, a big old bag, and that fills up too. So that's pretty much the process of what we work over there. And it's, I mean, I want to go, man. Hell, it's dusty, it's nasty, and the hell, like a couple times.
It's a warehouse.
Yeah, and of course, it's only after we work, I'm coughing up black shit, a whole bunch of black shit on my mouth and nose like that. But I mean, again, I love my job. It's a freaking awesome job, and I say, I mean, I enjoy what I do. It's pretty much easy. I mean, this got some little downsides, but other than that, I mean, I enjoy my job. It's pretty good.
It was every job. Yeah.
Yeah, so I work 3 12-hour days, 5 to 5:30.
Shit. 3 12s. 4 10s.
Not bad though. We got like 4 days off, man. Come on now.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, what? Donnie probably remembers when I had 4 days off, but I mean, I'd be working Saturday. I'd be working Friday, Saturday. No, I only had 3 days off, yeah. But still, it was freaking amazing. Not anymore. I'm working the Dolly Parton 9 to 5. Only it's more like 8 to 4, but whatever. Semantics.
All right, now back to enough of the work. Back to Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Now, I mean, like I said, I always like.
Do you like that?
Like I said, I read the books, but again, when we go to the movie and stuff, when I first watched the movie, it just intrigues me because, like I said, because I mean, honestly, I mean, when it comes down to it, right? I mean, there might be some controversy about Harry Potter that Miss J.K. Rowling's, in a way, kind of copied Star Wars in a way, right? Orphan boy lives with his aunt and uncle, finds out he's got, force powers or magical powers, and then of course gets trained by a older man, hence kind of like an older wizard, and then of course the bad guy comes back, and it's kind of similar to Star Wars in a way, but except Voldemort's not Harry's dad. But I mean, it's kind of similar. I mean, there's kind of controversy about that. But I mean, but again, you get the orphan boy. You got Dumbledore. But it always intrigues me to where when they bring up Harry, especially in Sorcerer's Stone, somewhat Chamber of Secrets, but of course when they get to other films, they start bringing up Harry about more. And I always love the backstory, like especially when McGonagall's talking to Dumbledore and he's dropping Harry off. It's like there won't be a wizard who doesn't know his name. Yeah. And they're like, well, then that's good. He's away from all that until he's ready. And then of course, he he grows up with this terrible aunt and uncle, and then cousin and stuff, and they treat him like shit and everything else. And then the Hagrid comes and saves him, brings him to Hogwarts and everything else. And then of course, I always love the scene to where when they walk into the Leaky Cauldron. And then, like, oh, I'm going to help Harry here buy his school supplies. Well, it's Harry Potter. And everybody's knowing me. Nice to meet you, Mr. Potter. And everybody knows names. Like, well, how do they know my name? And of course, Hagrid don't say nothing. Mm-hmm. And after he gets all the stuff, and they're sitting down having a bowl of soup, having like something to eat. He's like, well, hey, Voldemort killed my parents, right? What happened? It's like, and then of course, Hagrid tells a story about, hey, dark times. Voldemort was doing this, and he killed your parents, and then everybody who stand his way got killed except for you. And then of course, once he did that, he disappeared, and you're the boy who lived. You're the one in a way kind of stopped Voldemort, and that's why everybody knows who Harry Potter is. And I just love those types of stories to where you have like the hero, and then of course when you're watching the film too, and you hear about a baby was able to stop a powerful, dark wizard
force. Yeah.
Like, I mean, how is that possible? So he must be, very powerful. He's got something, in him that was able to do that. And then, of course, later on in the books, and then, of course, at the end, you find out, his mother did like a protective spell. And then, of course, the thing bounced off to, when he did Abracadabra, it bounced off. And then, of course, made a whole crux of Harry and everything else. So you kind of have that story in the end, but in the beginning, it's like, whoa, like how was he able to do this? And it just intrigues you in the story. It just kind of sucks you in. It's like, come here, and it brings you the story and everything else. And then, of course, even when you see like Harry, at fighting, Voldemort at the end, and you see that, it's like, whoa, it's like, and then how was he able to like touch and stuff, and like curls like turn to stone and stuff, I mean, that's all that stuff. I love it. I like the story with it. And it just seems like, man, I don't want to fuck with Harry, man. Harry's got something going on, man. I want to fuck with Harry.
Like, so a couple things. One, Owen and Beru never treated Luke like shit. Two,
I was just thinking.
But if you look at it, right, aunt and uncle.
No, I'm not saying
by an old person. Come on now.
No, I'm not saying that's not the case. Let me
be right back.
Okay. No, what I was gonna say though is, I'm sure you've heard the T.S. Eliot, good artist borrow, great artist steal. How many times have you heard a song before and you were like, damn, this sounds just like, whatever, like Jimi Hendrix took All Along the Watchtower, and most people don't even know that that's Bob Dylan's song because he did it so good. People don't even look for that version, the original version. They just know this version that ain't even the original. And it almost was like, of course there's differences, but it was maybe like, here's a fresh coat of paint on a similar story. But another like thing that I thought was kind of interesting in that regard is how you have this, like you said, you have the baby trying to figure out like what's so important about this baby, and like why nobody else could stop him but this, like this little child, but then there's that dynamic that Luke and Vader have that Harry never got to get. The closest thing he had to a dad was maybe Sirius, maybe, and he didn't even get to like hang out with Sirius or anything. Like, let's not get crazy. They spent a little time together here and there, but every time he was with Sirius, he kind of got whisked away. Sirius had to leave, or some shit went down that kind of separated them, or Sirius ended up getting killed. And then there was and then the other thing you could say is like Dumbledore, but Dumbledore had his own plan in his head of what he was trying to do. Not that he hadn't befriended Harry and didn't trust him and all that, but he had ulterior motives, obviously. And of course, people always try to flip it and say that like Dumbledore is really like a villain and all this and that, and like I get it and I understand why people may have that outlook, but if Dumbledore had never told Snape and trusted Snape to tell Harry in the right moment, then Harry would have never stopped Voldemort. Like it never would have happened. So I think that's like Dumbledore is almost like Vader. Vader was redeemed in Return of the Jedi, but it was only after his new master was trying to kill his son. And that's when he was like, no, because before that, he was like, I can't leave the dark side. You don't understand all this and that. But then as soon as his son was in peril, he was like, wait, fuck this decrepit old guy. I got to save my son. It's almost that with Dumbledore. When Dumbledore met Grindelwald, their whole plan was to like force muggles to be subservient to wizards. Players fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like he made a mistake. That's what he thought. But then as soon as he got away from Grindelwald and started realizing that ain't the way to be, he immediately was like, nah, that's not right. That ain't the way you do things. And obviously therein starts the rift between them. But my point is, you can look at that as like his redemption for everybody that tries to say he's a villain. But I also agree with you on the point that it's like, that's the part that I always like about those movies. It's like that, like you walking with them and seeing them figure shit out and they're putting stuff together. That's always the coolest part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To me, like that that scene in Black Panther when they were going through, I don't know if it was Japan or where they were, but you see him actually using the suit and figuring shit out about it and how it works and all that kind of stuff. Like you're along for the ride. It wasn't just like he just popped up. We were expected to know who he is, what he did, and everything about him, and then they were just going to get straight to like, it kind of showed you, it kind of like walked you up to, whatever the case is. Because if it had came on with us supposed to just infer what was so special about this baby, the shit wouldn't have made any sense. Like,
yeah, it leads to the characters critically thinking about the situation. I think that engages the audience. Like, yeah, the movies are kind of like a mystery, but I like that it gets the cogs in your brain going. Personally,
and nothing seems to me like, just as far as like mystery wise, the Chamber of Secrets to me is the biggest mystery of them. Like, you know, not that there wasn't that element in Sorcerer's Stone, and a little bit trying to figure out what was going on with Sirius, how dangerous was he really, but the Chamber of Secrets is like the real mystery. Like, you know what I mean? That shit dated back 50 years, you know, before they were even born. I think it was 1942 or something, is what it said in the diary, when Voldemort took him back to show him how he was framing Hagrid and Aragog. So, but yeah, like what you said though, and small detail, I was telling Aaron about this. You might not have noticed this shit. So I know we're gonna get there next week or week after, whatever it is. In Prisoner of Azkaban, you know when Harry gets on the night bus, right? Big purple bus pulls up on him, and he gets on the bus and he's talking to Stan Shunpike. And remember, Harry's asking him, "Who is that man?" And he's like, "That's Sirius Black. You don't know who Sirius Black is?" You know, he's asking, right? In the book, he asked him what his name was. He told him Neville Longbottom. In the movie, he said, "What did you say your name was?" And then Harry just says, "I didn't." He's like, "Well, whereabouts are you headed?" "To the Leaky Cauldron. That's in London." Here's the problem with that. Stan was a Death Eater. And as you just said, it is well established in the Sorcerer's Stone. There's nobody in the world of wizards who don't know who the fuck this kid is. So Stan,
unless Obliviate,
right?
I mean, it's not likely that he would be obliviated,
but I'm saying Voldemort was more of like, "I'm just gonna kill you, fuck, like erasing your memory," you know.
That's like, one way to erase a memory.
But you remember when he was using the Elder Wand and it started like cracking and shit in the Deathly Hallows? And remember, I think they had destroyed the Horcrux, and so he was starting to like feel it. And Pius was like, "My lord," and he just Avada Kedavra. He killed him just to see if the wand would still work. Like there was no talking, there was no like, you know, he's just trying to like see if I'm okay. He just immediately did what he knew. You know what I mean? Because obviously he has no concept of.
So that guy on the bus, he was a Death Eater.
Stan, yeah.
See, like, okay, like when you said about, you know, how everybody like knows who Harry Potter is, well, you gotta understand, like, not most have seen who Harry Potter is. You know what I mean? There was nothing took in, no like pictures or whatever. So not everybody, everybody in the wizard world knows who Harry Potter is. But
that's not true. Why do the people in the Leaky Cauldron know who he was as soon as they saw him?
But Hagrid said, "I'm here with Harry to buy his school supplies." And they're like, "Whoa, Harry! Wait, well, this is Harry." You know, then it clicked. Harry, this is Harry Potter. But Hagrid had to say, "I'm here with Harry." You know what I mean? So again, like if he used in the book, he put Neville Longbottom, that means like, okay, you're Neville. Okay, you're Neville. You know, I don't know who you are. You're just some kid, right? But if he would say, "Hey, I'm Harry Potter," it's like, "Oh shit, you know what I mean?" It's like, okay, well, you know, that's the thing though. If no one knows what Harry Potter looks like, but then again, like later on, of course, you know, especially the Order of the Phoenix or after Order of the Phoenix, you get to what?
At this point, though, you're telling me that by year 3, there's not any pictures or articles or anything with him on it? Like, I just
at least none that we are shown, because
right. But
Sirius Black's face was plastered everywhere.
Exactly, but look at how. Like, look at what the night bus does. Look at the wizards and shit. It's transporting them all over London. He's bound to have seen the Daily Prophet at some point. Like, and every time some shit went wrong with Dumbledore or Harry, whatever, they was right on the front page. Because remember, at the end of Order of the Phoenix, it was like Harry Potter is vindicated as he who must not be named returned.
At least
like,
visually, that's the first time that we're okay. Other than maybe the Goblet of Fire when a picture is taken of them. But we aren't shown that Daily Prophet page. Yeah.
Right. No. I'm not saying that we had to see it. I'm just saying there's nothing that would suggest that Stan didn't see it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just felt like
there would at least be a description that, but I mean, then again,
I'm just saying by that point, you know, because I know what you're saying too, Shape. Because remember, in Chamber of Secrets when Arthur Weasley came home, he was like, "And who might you be?" And he was like, "I'm Harry Potter." Like, like I get what you're saying, but the fact, are you really like? But the fact that excuse me, that Stan was, kind of an idiot, but just the fact of him, I feel like he was just kind of playing stupid, just to see what leverage he could get. But that's what I'm saying. It's those little tiny details like that fuck you over. You know what I mean? Because you don't know, and it of course it's the interpretation of the director, but it helps if you read the book before you try to interpret some shit.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. I just wish, when it comes to movies like this, especially, I just wish they get one director to direct all the goddamn film, not have like one director for this one, then one director for this one, then one director for this one, and then one director for this one. I hate when they do that shit, because if you're going to be telling a story, I mean, it worked. I mean, in my opinion, it worked for Star Wars. The first trilogy, it worked for it.
Okay.
Because the first one was George Lucas, the second one was somebody else, and of course the third one, Return of the Jedi, was Steven Spielberg. But again, they're following the story of Lucas, where he wrote, this is what happens, this is what blah, blah, but then they use your director ability to make it through the film. Now, again, like you can see the difference in the Chamber of Secrets, and of course, because I think the director did both the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets. They brought somebody else, but you can see the difference in the textures. Now, I think, because I think the Prisoner of Azkaban, I mean, I think they kind of like jump stuff around, because I mean, didn't he get the firebolt early in the book?
He got the firebolt. It came to the Gryffindor common room anonymously, or somebody brought it. So I think Ron brought it to him, and they had like a case to clean it up and all kind of cool shit. But with Sirius being on the loose, Hermione reported it to Professor McGonagall. She was like, "Harry, you got to get rid of this broom. It could be cursed. After what happened to you in your first year with Professor Quirrell doing the jinx on your broom, this broom could be cursed. You could get killed. You got to tell Professor McGonagall." And Harry was like, "I'll think about it." But Hermione was like, "No, you need to tell her." And when she saw that he wasn't, she went and told Professor McGonagall. McGonagall came to the Gryffindor Tower and took it while Harry was like at class or something. So he came back and it was gone. But it was sent. Yes, so you're right though. Like at the end of the movie is when he first gets it, and it had Buckbeak's like his feathers with it. In the book, he doesn't actually get to use it though until the end of the book. Like it was
but he gets the broom like what, only wants to like probably the middle of the movie, middle of the book, maybe not at the end at the end.
Yeah, not at the very end. I'd say maybe 10 chapters in when he gets it.
Yeah, but see, there you go though, because it's like they just take they take you wherever you want to go, but then it's like, oh, we'll throw this in there for fan service. Hey, here you go, guys. Read the book. There's the fireball, whatever. But again, it's like, okay, but then again, you got different directors and everything else. But of course, I do understand that you got these long ass books. You have to put so much into the film. But that's why I like Peter Jackson in a way when it comes to his trilogy. I mean, he did the movies. I mean, they were like what, 2 almost 3 hours long, right? But then he's like, hey,
if not more.
Yeah, but he's like, but hey, guess what, guys? If you guys go get the DVD, you're going to have like 5 discs for one movie. And it's like he tried to put everything in the movies from the books into the movie. But of course, they couldn't do it for theatrical release, so they did it with the DVDs like that. Because you only all 3 films had like 4 discs, and they're all like one whole movie. So again, you have that. But I just wish they kind of kept that with the Harry Potter series.
No, so here's the thing. This is what I can say, and I'm not defending this because I agree with you, especially having read the books before. The one thing that does kind of irk me about that is, so in the beginning, it was on the director to just interpret it and make it. it's kind of different. Like I know what you're saying, like about Star Wars too, because like with Star Wars, George Lucas was still there on deck when the director was doing something, and George Lucas was like, no, that's not how Vader would have did that. I don't like that. Do it over, like whatever the fuck, because it was still his story. He was just having somebody else bring his vision to life because he didn't want to sit there. Wait, like the point I'm making is J.K. Rowling didn't start coming to the sets until you got to like Goblet or Order onward. Okay. And then that's when she started, like when she got involved, that's when she started saying, no, you can cut this out. No, it's okay that you know, that ain't got to be in there. You ain't got to do that detail. Like she started like doing shit like that. And then that's when you started getting pieces cut out, except in the case of the Goblet of Fire. Mike Newell was just an incompetent director. Like he just, he just was an idiot. I mean, like you can't take on a project and then you see the book, and then you're gonna complain that the book is the size of a brick, that you can't put this into a story. Well, it's like nobody's asking you to take all 700 pages and make it. That movie would be 6 hours long. Nobody's asking you to do that. But there are important things, like when Snape and Karkaroff are talking in the courtyard, and Snape is trying to Karkaroff is trying to pull up his sleeve, and he's like pulling his sleeve away, and then Harry comes around the corner, and Harry had just seen it. Hermione's like, "Where have you been?" That gives you like a clear indication of what was happening, because without that scene, you just see Harry walking around the corner. You don't know where the fuck he came from, what he just saw, what he's thinking about, and then Hermione's just like, "Where have you been?" It doesn't make sense in that context. So that's why I always appreciated like USA and Sci-Fi, because when they showed them, they put the deleted scenes back in place of where they should go. Like in Chamber of Secrets. Y'all ever seen that deleted scene of Chamber of Secrets where Harry had to hide in the Iron Maiden? When when Malfoys came in to Borgin and Burkes, and remember Draco was about to open the Iron Maiden, and Lucius like hit it real quick with the cane with the snake head, and told him like don't touch anything. And Harry was hiding in it because this was right after he had touched that hand. Remember the hand of death that he had touched, and then it grabbed his hand. So that's kind of like what happened and what like messed that up. But I can say like cinema, like from a cinematography standpoint, The Prisoner of Azkaban has the best shots, like just from the perspective of making a film. I'm not talking about necessarily adapting it the best or any of that, but just from the perspective of making a fucking film. Alfonso Cuarón killed that shit. Like, because when I first saw, like, oh, it's not Christopher Columbus, I felt like, man, this is gonna go a different direction, dude. That shit was so good. Like the close up, like when Sirius is grabbing Lupin, he's like Remus, did you take your Wolfsbane potion tonight? And then you see like it zoom in on his eye, you see his pupil dilate, and it comes back out, and then you see him start to change into the werewolf and shit. Like that shit scared me to death as a kid when I seen it, But the shots that they did, them standing in the pumpkin patch when Hermione threw the shell through the window at Hagrid's house for them to come outside, like them running through the courtyard, and the camera goes through the big clock tower, through the gears, and then it comes down to the courtyard. Like none of the other movies have shots like that. You know what I mean? And I'm saying from just a movie making standpoint, that's top tier. Like,
but again, I thought J.K. Rowling was like a big part of even in the Chambers, the Sorcerer's Stone, like beginning, because again, like I think she had a hand in like most of the stuff, because again, because they even suggested having Steven Spielberg direct a Harry Potter film, and then she was like, he's not British, get him out of here. It's like whoa.
Is Christopher Columbus British? I didn't know that he was British.
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I thought he was American.
I don't know.
I was going to say, because Christopher Columbus directed the 2 Home Alone movies. I mean, that doesn't mean that he's,
I don't know, wait. But see, this thing though, because J.K. Rowling only wanted British actors, and she only wanted British directors. Like I said, when they brought the thing to Steven Spielberg, like, hey, we want you to direct a Harry Potter movie, she said, fuck Steven Spielberg.
Right. Like, but what I know is pretty much the whole. I can think from like, what's up, man?
Yeah, give me a second, guys. Hang on a second. Hey man, how's it going? Thank you for coming on. And of course, I didn't forget about you. I didn't forget about you. Yes, I had maintenance come today. They're also coming tomorrow too. And I got to stay home and make sure they're here for everything. But I am going to get your package delivered. It might be, like I said, probably Wednesday or possibly Thursday. But yes, I haven't forgot about you. But don't worry, it will be coming soon.
Congratulations again. What I was going to say, and Aaron said he was listening to the Sorcerer's Stone on audiobook. I'm not sure like how far he is in it at this point. But what I can tell you, when I think of the Philosopher's Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets, I think part of the reason why J.K. Rowling wasn't so involved, like in those two movies, she was more involved in like, no, the Slytherin green needs to be emerald. It needs to pop on the camera. The Gryffindor robes need to be scarlet red, not any other shit. Like she was more in that kind of. That's more kind of almost consulting, if you will. When she told Christopher Columbus, read the books and like what you see in what you see in your mind when you read what I wrote, make that. That's what I know. That's what I heard him say on the Blu-ray that I have. Now,
I don't know, man, but I heard J.K. Rowling was tough to work with. Like even
no. I'm not saying she's not. You're not letting me finish. Like I'm not saying she's not, and don't get me wrong. I'm not on here like defending her or saying like she's my favorite person in the world or whatever, But I do respect her because she created my favorite fucking franchise ever, But at the end of the day, it came down to what she wanted to see. She wrote the shit. It's what she wanted to see, but. Christopher Columbus, and this is what I was telling Aaron. I was trying to wait for him to come back because this is a point that I really, really love about those first two is not only the vibrancy is
charge my laptop.
You get it, bro. Not only is the vibrancy and like the coloring like phenomenal in those first two movies, but I can count on one hand things that were omitted from both books throughout the entire movie. Aaron, I'm not sure what part you're at on Sorcerer's Stone on the audiobook, but there's only two things I can think of off the top of my head that are missing from the Sorcerer's Stone film. And that is one, Norbert Hagrid's dragon. He bit Ron on the hand and caused his hand to swell up and like double the size where he couldn't close his hand because his fangs had venom in them. That's a detail that's not in the movie.
Chapter 10.
Okay. And so you haven't got there yet. The troll's about to come in where you are. So there's that detail. And what's Ron's brother?
Which one, George?
No. The one that works with the dragons on the other side of the world. Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie, Romania. Yeah.
Charlie. In the actual in the Sorcerer's Stone book, they actually, how in the movie it's like Professor Filch takes them to Hagrid. And Hagrid's still crying and like mad about Norbert, like Dumbledore sent him to live in a colony and all this and that because Malfoy had snitched or whatever. So, what happens in the book? They know that Malfoy is going to snitch, so they come up with a plan to get rid of the dragon before they can come like inspect Hagrid's hut and find the dragon. So they have him write a letter to Charlie. He writes a letter to Charlie. Charlie and another guy come from Romania, wherever they were at that time. They come to the astronomy tower of Hogwarts. They come to the astronomy tower where they meet Hermione and Harry. Ron couldn't go because his hand was so swollen. They have Norbert in a little box, a little cage. They're under the invisibility cloak, and they go meet Charlie. They pass off the dragon to Charlie. And he asked like, "Where's Ron?" Whatever. They explain that to them, and they're like, "We gotta go." They get back under the invisible. Well, no, actually, they hear the bell ring and like, just kind of chime, and they're so afraid of getting caught. Hermione and Harry take off running back down the stairs, and they leave the cloak there by mistake. So when they get back downstairs, that's when they try to hurry up and get back to the common room, so nobody can find them and all this and that, right? So I would say that detail of Charlie coming to get Norbert biting Ron's hand, and the other thing is there was a potion, because it was Fluffy, the Devil's Snare, the door with the keys, the chessboard, then a potion. There was a potion that you had to configure right, and you had to consume all of it once you made it right. But there was only enough for one person, and then that would open the door for you to get into that room where the Mirror of Erised was, which is desire spelled backwards. I thought that was kind of hot.
Oh, but, so they took out the potion one.
Yeah, so that's not in the movie. Like after the chessboard, Hermione's like, Harry, it's you that has to go on. I know, no. They were actually debating about should Hermione go or should Harry go, because he knew she was better at potions. But she was like, but I'm not the chosen one. Like, like you have to go on. This is you. You have to do this. You have to find the Sorcerer's Stone. And this obviously is before they knew that Quirrell was behind the shit, right?
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I also thought, when Harry's sneaking in the library, like he's like, Harry's gonna bless you.
Bless you.
When Harry's like, what is it that he says? Hermione is like, oh well, you can help. Change your plans. My parents decided to visit my brother Charlie in Romania. It's like, oh well, you can help Harry find more information about Nicholas Flamel. We've looked 100 times, not in the restricted section, and that's when he goes sneaking in. Right, that book was some ancient book about dark magic. I always thought the head that came out of the book was like Voldemort, like as a kid. But that was just something that had to do with dark magic. You know what I'm talking about, that book that he opened and he slammed it closed real quick and he pulled the cloak and it shattered the lantern. And that's how Filch knew, somebody was like walking around. Because, Quirrell and Snape are having that conversation. Snape is letting him have it. Like, you don't want me as your enemy, Quirrell. Because he knew something was up with him. He just didn't know what was up with him. And obviously, we all know that Snape was one of the teachers protecting.
But I always saw in that scene to where Snape was like confronting Quirrell. I thought that Snape knew that Quirrell was, doing something. Because after watching it, everything else, and going back and like seeing that scene, like, oh wait, like Snape knew that Quirrell was trying to kill Harry. You're like, hey man, what the hell you doing?
Because of the broomstick thing.
Yeah.
The footage. Yeah. So he knew he was on some bullshit. He just didn't know the extent of it. Like he didn't know that he was trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone for Voldemort, or the fact that he was the one that was slaughtering the unicorns and shit. Because like one of my favorite like details, and I always thought I was tripping. Like, and I asked my mom, I asked Aaron, I think. That scene when they're in the dark forest and Hagrid is like, remember Malfoy's like, we can't go in there. Students aren't allowed. Like there are werewolves in there, and Mr. Filch is like, you'll find more than werewolves in those trees, lad. And like they go in there, and Hagrid is like, that's unicorn blood. And he's like, this is what we're here for, and he's like dividing them up in teams and shit, and he's telling them this and that. And he's like, now I found one a week ago, and it was wounded, but not dead, but something is hunting them, is kind of what he's telling him. And then Harry kind of looks over in the distance. If you look hard enough, you can see like a black cloak floating. You can see it kind of floating
for sure.
And I always thought I was bugging though, like as a kid, like do I see something? But I always thought Harry saw something because he kind of like squinted his eyes a little bit. Remember Hagrid started looking around and shit. We obviously now know that was Quirrell in there.
Yeah, because in the movie you see him like freaking like doing like hiding shit.
Well, yeah. I'm saying just at that particular moment, because what I think it was Voldemort was allowed. He was able to like possess his body at will. So he did like the little spirit thing where he just floats around as the spirit. And that's when he went and drank the blood. Because remember when Firenze comes in, the centaur, and he's like bucking, remember he flies away like straight up in the air. if that was Quirrell, he would have had to disapparate or something. You know what I'm saying? So I think like Voldemort was able to kind of detach himself. Have Quirrell kill the unicorn. Then all he had to do was go to the forest, drink the blood, come back. And like reconnect with him is what I think. It's never like it's not laid out like that in spades or nothing like that. But that's the way I always thought of it, because when, like I said, when Firenze comes in, you see him fly like he's flying away like Lenny Kravitz.
But it does suck you don't see Firenze anymore in the movies, anyways.
Yeah, you definitely don't see that particular centaur.
Yeah,
but he's definitely, he was one of the ones that they ran into. When they take Umbridge to go
find Hagrid's brother
to go find Grawp. Yeah, so he's there in that scene for sure. There just was no emphasis on it. I think some of the character arcs and stuff, some of that shit was more important than others to David Yates. And again, Order of the Phoenix, man. Order of the Phoenix has 870 pages. Like, there's no way you could fucking make that whole movie. Like, you just, like, theatrically, you just couldn't do it. Not to say that if it was 4 hours, I wouldn't sit and watch it, because I straight up would. I know I would. But for theatrical, you know what I'm saying? You had motherfuckers walking out The Godfather because it was too long. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think the original point that I was trying to make to you and to Aaron, you were gone, was that Christopher Columbus, I think, adapted the shit the best, because not only did he read the book, is he? I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he didn't have an accent in the behind the scenes shit I watched. But what I was gonna say is he adapted it the best, I feel like, because those two books, I mean, there's only like maybe 25 pages more, let's say 40 at the most, in Chamber than in the Sorcerer's Stone. So we're talking about little minute things that are cut out, like maybe Hagrid cutting a Christmas tree down or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Little shit like that.
Yeah.
We can cut that out and bypass that. But like I said, I can count on one hand in both of those books that like things that were that were left out. Like I said, the whole Ron's hand, Charlie coming and getting Norbert, and the potion. Those are like the only things that are really omitted from the Sorcerer's Stone. Everything else you see is verbatim. And that's what I like. Chamber of Secrets. You remember when I texted you a picture, Aaron, of me reading the Chamber of Secrets, and literally the lines in the movie were the word for word lines on the page of the book. And that's what I appreciated about when Christopher Columbus adapted it, because he did everything that the page said. The only detail that I can think of, like right now, that isn't in the movie is that Aragog is actually blind. And he didn't tell his kids to go eat Harry and Ron. That's bullshit. That was some movie shit. He was blind.
Also, Peeves. Thank God he is not in. Holy shit.
He would have been so annoying to fucking deal with. Like, he's annoying as hell in the game, and you don't even interact with him. Like,
yeah. That and the Hogwarts song is a little bit. To me.
Wait, hang on. So Aragorn is blind. In the book, he didn't send his kids to attack Harry and Ron?
No, he couldn't even fucking see him when they were talking to
him. But again, though, so then the Spires just attacked him for no reason?
In the movie? I mean, in the book. In the book, when they came in, I think they just started surrounding them, and then the car came in, but it wasn't under the order of Aragog saying eat them, like in the movie where he was like, I can't allow, deny my sons and daughters like fresh food when it wanders into our midst. Like, he didn't say no shit like that. He was just more of like, I'm not what was in the chamber. We spiders fear what's in the chamber. We didn't have it. Like, I didn't have anything to do with that. There's also kind of a plot hole too, because there's no female Acromantula. So where did all the babies come from? But
hang on now. As he said, magical chicken to keep the bastards full. Maybe the spider can change his sex and can reproduce like Godzilla, right? Godzilla can change his sex and make little ones in the Godzilla film, whatever. The American version of 2000 whatever it was. There you go. Maybe that's how it is.
2014 Godzilla is
yeah.
Stand by that.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe we can change his sex. Who knows?
Sure, Shape. If it helps you sleep at night, sure. I'm trying to remember if there was like a counterpoint to the spiders attacking them. Like, I'm trying to remember if there was an actual point, but it was not under the guise of Aragog being like, eat them. I know for a fact that's not what it was. But to be honest, I did speed through that part of the book. I wasn't gonna read that shit over again. I was getting the heebie-jeebies just reading it that first time. So
I mean, come on, you come across a big ass spider like that and talking to it, like, well, man, I'm gonna do that.
And then the fact that Hagrid, remember in Half-Blood Prince, he's like, seriously misunderstood creatures, spiders. I'm like no, like, what do you mean? Like, the eyes, they unnerve some people. Bitch, it's 50 feet tall. What do you mean? Like, that's what I'm afraid of. Ugh. But you're
all good.
Hey, good
luck. You're a good man.
Thank you for listening. Everything was pretty much the same. The dueling club, the snake. Shape. What do you think about this? I always thought this would be a cool, like detail. So they have yet to explain. I know when the next Fantastic Beast comes out next year, whatever it is, it'll probably explain how Nagini went from human. She was an animagus. She could turn from human to snake, but something happened to her that made her stay as a snake. She can't turn back.
Okay. All right. So from what I heard about that one is Nagini. So what the thing is, it's like a curse thing, right? So every time she transformed into a snake, then it's like it was like always harder for her to turn back to human. So the more times she transfers into a snake, the more time she risks not turning back into human. So that's what happened. So once she transformed into a snake, like the final time,
she was stuck that way.
Yeah, she was stuck with a snake. Yeah.
Okay.
And then of course she meets Voldemort. And Voldemort's like, hey, I'm going to turn you into a Horcrux, girl.
But that was like 50 years later or some shit when he actually did do it. But what I was gonna say, I always thought this would be a cool detail. What if Nagini was the snake at the zoo that Harry had accidentally set free, and that's how she goes back and finds Voldemort?
I think that'd be cool.
I always thought that was like a missed opportunity for her to have done it that way. What were you gonna say?
I mean, it could have been.
No, it's not. Like, she confirmed that it's not. But
ooh.
I always thought that would have been kind of cool. But the whole the school thinks you're his great grandson, you can speak Parseltongue, and what I'm telling you is that second one. So first of all, Order of the Phoenix is my favorite, but there are some days where it's Chamber, but it's like those two, and then my list actually starts. But it's like them two, and you can't. There's nothing you can say that'll move them from 1A and 1B on my list, right? And the thing, like I said, I like so much about that adaptation of Chamber is how he's exactly what he's like, I'm not his, he's like, I'm not his grandson, I can't be. And then Hermione's like, well, he lived over 1,000 years ago. For all we know, you could be. Like, word for word on the page. It's literally like Christopher Columbus just took that. I mean, they went to one detail is them taking Hermione to the hospital as the cat and her coughing up the fur balls and stuff like that. That is omitted.
But that kind of takes away a little bit more of the seriousness of Hermione being petrified.
That hadn't happened yet, though.
Okay.
She got turned into the cat before.
Okay.
And remember, she was studying. She was trying to find out about the basilisk, and that's why she had the mirror. In case it came creeping along, she could see it. But she looked in the mirror, saw its eyes, and that's what petrified her. They're getting rid of like gnomes in the yard at the burrow. When Harry first arrives there. Like shit like that. You could take out. Like that's not essential to the story. But let me see, the Aragog thing, them finding the page in Hermione's hand, him going back in time, putting together that it was Myrtle, because he's like, there's nothing written in this diary. He framed him. We gotta ask him about the chamber, and then of course that's when Cornelius Fudge and Lucius Malfoy show up. Dumbledore, it doesn't say this in the book, like it doesn't say Dumbledore used this spell, but it is widely believed that he used Omenum Revelio, which I don't know if you know what that does. It like reveals any like traps or anything that's hidden to you. Kind of, it's like, so Aaron, in the game Revelio, Omenum Revelio is basically that, right? So when they go to Grimmauld Place for the first time in the Deathly Hallows, and there's like that, like almost like ghost looking thing of Dumbledore comes racing at them when they come in the door of Grimmauld Place, Harry, Ron, Hermione.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then remember, after that happened, Hermione was like probably Dumbledore's idea in case Snape came snooping, and then she says Omenum Revelio. And then she says, we're alone. And then it fades to black and it goes to the next scene, whatever. Dumbledore used that before he went into Hagrid's hut. That's how he knew that Harry and Ron was in the corner under the cloak.
Interesting.
Because, obviously we know that Lucius Malfoy had threatened everybody to sign the paper to get Dumbledore removed and all that shit. Mm-hmm. And he's coming in there and he's kind of talking his shit. And, Hagrid was right. Hagrid was like, there's going to be an attack a day if Dumbledore's not here. Like, and then, Dumbledore says something. I can't remember exactly what the line is. Is it? It might be that help is always given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it. I think is what the line is that he says. And then, that's when he kind of looks in the corner and he's looking directly at Ron and Harry and he kind of nods, and then remember, like Lucius Malfoy looks in the corner and of course he doesn't see anything and he's like, admirable sentence, and then that's when they go and walk out the door. But then remember, as they're about to turn and walk out, Dumbledore turns back and he looks again, like that as he walks off, and he knew. And then of course Hagrid didn't help. If anybody was looking for something, all they would have to do is like.
That was very weird when I watched the second one. It's like okay, Hagrid, thank you for that wonderful information.
Oh yeah, and then Ginny killing the chickens. I think there's a couple.
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up.
There's some scenes alluded to that. In the book. Let me see. Gilderoy Lockhart is still a bitch.
So is Tom Riddle.
You know what? I always love Gilderoy Lockhart, man, because he's always like trying to be, like this amazing freaking wizard. I love it too, like in the movie where he's like, "You don't worry, I'll get rid of that snake." He's like, "Okay, ascendale," and he just throws it in the air.
He just shot it in the air, like all it did was piss it off. That's so funny to me. Like I
was like, what the hell?
His shit-eating grin when he was just like, "Give Harry books for free of charge." He's like, and I'm like, "Oh my god,
yo, that shit!" Like he said, when young Harry stepped in the flourish and blots this morning, he had no idea that he would be leaving with my entire collected works.
Yeah,
free charge.
Yeah. he hits him with, he has the little like subtle giggle too. He's like,
no. That's the scene when
Well,
I didn't get rid of the Boston Banshee by smiling at him.
Oh God!
When he was that shit had me rolling. And then, have you guys seen the deleted scene where he gives all of them a pop quiz, but the questions are all about him?
Yeah,
It's nothing that has to do with Defense Against the Dark Arts. It's all about him.
Hey, shout out to Kenneth Branagh for an amazing performances.
Yeah, like really. And when you think of him,
complete douchebag.
And when you think of him in Wild Wild West, and then that, like, two polar opposite fucking characters, like, because I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, that's Loveless. I was like, Mom, that's Loveless from Wild Wild West. She was like, no, it ain't. Fuck out of here. And I was like, no, for real, it's the same dude. And she was like, ain't no way. Like, but the like all the like one of my favorite, Aaron, you remember we had that meme that we used to laugh at in high school of the, like, when you look at the first answer on the test and you already know you about to fail, and it was like, right, like when they're reading the questions and Ron sees the first question, it's like, what is Gilderoy Lockhart's favorite color, or what is Gilderoy Lockhart's greatest achievement to date? Like, fucking Ron is sitting there, dude, I'm telling you, pull it up, it's hilarious. His face, he said, these are all about him. Like,
and
I need to watch that. Then that sounds hilarious.
You know, I mean, Gil Lockhart, he was like in a way like comic relief. You know what I mean? And so I do love it too, where he came up and what was it? Where he came up and like, hey, you know, like seems like, hey, you know, what's that Gil Lockhart in the Chamber of Secrets? Like, well, what? So did you know where the Chamber of Secrets was? And he's like, you know, oh yeah, sure. Let me go get ready.
Yeah, I'll be in my office.
Are you going somewhere?
That right there, that's the shit that urgent call. Can't be rescheduled. I have to go. Like, you're the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. What about all that stuff you did in your books? Boy, do you not use your common sense? Books can be misleading.
I mean, he's not wrong, but at the same time, it's like, you're proving our point that you're a piece of shit.
Well, but the thing is with Gilderoy Lockhart, he was actually, like, they say, like, he was, you know, he was smart, like he was thing, but like when it came to like magical talent, like he just wasn't the greatest. But when it came to like his knowledge, like that, his smartness, he had that. But again, like his main weapon,
but he had no talent.
Was great at was, of course, memory charms.
He had no talent of how to like convey it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I have a talent to play an instrument. But if I never tried or exercised that, then I wouldn't have ever gotten good at it. You know what I mean? He never knew how to like express that kind of thing. So rather than him write his own book, it was easier for him to take credit of what somebody else had already formulated for him, and then he just slap his name on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying that's not some bullshit like that. You know, there's the iconic scene at the end of the Chamber of Secrets where he's in Flourish and Blots, and like it's the big poster, and it's like, do you know my name? It's like, help. You seen that? It's a post-credit scene at the end of.
Wait, I don't know who I am.
Yeah, and he's like sitting there, he's like damn near in a straitjacket, and he's just kind of like looking around and shit. Like,
yeah.
I always thought that was cool too, like how the pictures moved and how they could walk from one frame to another and shit like that. Because Dumbledore had, this is a detail that they definitely killed off in the movies. Dumbledore had the entire office draped with pictures of every headmaster, so he could talk to them and get like help on running the school.
See, that's crazy. Now, like in my opinion, like was with the pictures were they like was just like memories of them, or were they actually like in a way like spirits, like this ghosts were they actually there? You know what I mean?
I think it's their consciousness is in an enchanted picture.
Okay, but
because
but pretty much they're dead, but it's just a conscious in the picture,
right? Like, and you know, like and I think that's something you would have to have done while you're alive, because you know how after Dumbledore dies, Harry goes into Dumbledore's office, and there's the big portrait of Dumbledore, but he's like this, you know, in the chair where he, you know, it looks like he's sleeping. Obviously, he's dead, but to my knowledge, he didn't like Dumbledore's portrait Now, I don't know if there's a certain amount of time, like if there's a portrait of you and then you die, then you can talk. Like it was never really explained because I'm trying to think if his portrait talked to Snape when Snape became headmaster, and I'm gonna say probably, but I may not be 100% on that. I haven't read the book yet. I haven't got to Deathly Hallows yet, but I think that okay. So it was Mrs. Filch, it was Colin Creevey, Justin Finch Fletchley, Nearly Headless Nick, Hermione Granger. Those were the 5 people that got petrified, or am I leaving somebody off? Aaron, did you hear that question?
I caught Nearly Headless Nick.
Cameron? What's his name?
Who'd you say?
Colin Creevey.
Yeah, that's Colin Creevey.
Okay. But so I got a question. Is McGonagall the mother of freaking Filch?
What?
No, I don't know. Where'd that come from?
No, who's the one that's always like clean the cast, or whatever, and like he's got the cat. Is that Filch?
Yeah, that is Mr. Filch. Mr. Filch is a squib.
Well, because he always calls Professor McGonagall mom. Sorry, mom.
Ma'am.
Oh, ma'am. He's saying ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was always saying mom. Like, hey, mom.
No, because she
yeah, that's what I always thought.
Excuse me. No, she. Yeah, so they. He's a squib, and actually, I think. Okay, so Chamber of Secrets. This is a plot hole. If you want to talk about plot holes, when they get to the castle, and there's the Whomping Willow, and the Whomping Willow is fucking them up, right? In the next movie, the Whomping Willow is in a completely different location. That's a plot hole.
Yeah, it is.
Because Dumbledore only had that tree planted to keep people from finding the Shrieking Shack when Lupin would be in there turning into a werewolf. That's the only reason he had the fucking tree planted. So it had been, because remember, Snape was like, it's been on the ground since before you was born. So if that's the case, then you didn't just pick it up and move it to another location, like for the next school year.
You could have with magic. I mean, he's like,
but I'm saying but at that point, you wouldn't really need the Shrieking Shack, though, right? Because Lupin wasn't going to school there anymore, and there's no more werewolves that we know of. Because
maybe with magic they did move it to the part of the grounds in the Chamber of Secrets. But then when Lupin came back to do the Defense Against Dark Arts, maybe they moved it to that location for the Shrieking Shack. That way he can go through and everything else. Maybe that's possible.
In the book, he was taking the Wolfsbane potion. He actually had Snape making the Wolfsbane potion for him. Well, Dumbledore had Snape make it for him because he didn't want to do it. But Dumbledore told him, like, you know what happens to him. You know he can't not have the potion. You need to make the potion for him. And then that is, in turn, why Snape did turn to page 394. That's why he did that lecture, because he needed the students to know. Because he was leery, like, he didn't want, and this is what I was explaining. I was explaining this to Aaron. I don't know if you've ever thought about this shape, but one thing that used to bug the fuck out of me was if Dumbledore, like, is the leader of the Order, excuse me, and he knows how tight James and Sirius were, why the fuck would he think that Sirius turned evil all of a sudden and became a Death Eater? I never thought about the Secret Keeper shit, right? You know what that is? Shit. The Secret Keeper is, so when the prophecy happened.
Only Sirius Snape knew where they were going, like where Lily
and James were going to be.
But again, but Snape and I think Peter Pettigrew knew too. Like he was part of that too. But again, if you look at it, right?
No, y'all are on like the same kind of track. So
no. I was just gonna say what happened was the Secret Keeper shit, Dumbledore came up with that idea as the best way to hide them, right? Because as you both know, and everybody watching, the prophecy could have been about Neville or Harry, because they were both born on July 31st, 1980. So the prophecy could have been about either one. Now, let's say here's the a plot point that's very interesting that is never talked about. If Voldemort doesn't go and he sends Death Eaters to go kill both families, and he doesn't do it himself, he never marks one of the boys as his equal. Therefore, he probably never becomes vulnerable, because the prophecy says the one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord soon approaches. Born as the 7th month dies, the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, and he will have power that the Dark Lord knows not. For neither can live while the other survives. That's what the prophecy said, that Professor Trelawney read, or well, gave to Dumbledore. Snape was outside the door listening, took that back to Voldemort. And this is why I say that Snape isn't a hero, because until Lily was in trouble, Snape didn't give a fuck. They were killing people and torturing them and all kind of shit, and Snape never said a word. Then when Lily was in trouble, then all of a sudden, no, hide them, I beg you. No, come on, man. But he sent Bellatrix and Barty Crouch Jr. to go kill the Longbottom family. And then he went to go kill the Potters himself. What happened was Dumbledore came up with the idea of the Secret Keeper. Sirius decides to be the Secret Keeper. But Sirius then started to like rehash it in his mind, and he felt like that was too obvious. He felt like everybody knew that him and James was so tight that that's obvious that his best friend is going to be the Secret Keeper. So he said, now Lupin, at this point, he was no longer hanging out with the Marauders. He had kind of exiled himself because no place would hire him because of him being a werewolf. So he was in like a self-imposed exile. So he was nowhere near Sirius and James and Lily when all this went down. So Sirius has the idea, why don't we make Peter the Secret Keeper? Because nobody will expect it to be him. But only him, James, and Lily have this conversation. They never tell that to Dumbledore. So when the shit goes down, and then Pettigrew tells Voldemort where they're hiding, because only, the spell is that whoever the Secret Keeper is, only they can tell the location. Like nobody else could. Like they're magically binded from being able to say, even if they do know. So he tells Voldemort where to find him. I think he thought he was going to be rewarded by the Dark Lord, which is why he told him. Because you know how in Prisoner of Azkaban he tries to flip it like, oh, you don't know like the weapons the Dark Lord possesses and all. I think that was absolute bullshit. I think he just told him because he thought he was going to get some kind of reward from Voldemort. Anyway, Pettigrew tells him, he goes there, he kills Lily, kills James first, then he kills Lily. When he uses the Avada Kedavra on the baby, it rebounds, hits him, but he couldn't die because he had all the other Horcruxes in place, right? So then that piece of his soul thought he was trying to split it again and make a Horcrux, which is why it latched onto the baby, and then like the ghost part of him kind of like just left, and went to Albania, as I said. But Sirius was then looking for Pettigrew because he knew that Peter was the one that had to tell, right? Because they had made him the Secret Keeper. So the very beginning opening chapter of the Sorcerer's Stone talks about this man in an alley and like an explosion happens and all this. He basically finds Peter. He got him cornered in an alley. Peter sets off this explosion that kills 12 muggles. And then he, cut his finger off, turned himself into the rat, and he got gone. When the police got there, or the, what are they called? The Aurors, when they got there, it appeared that Sirius had killed all those people in that alley. So he got a year in Azkaban for each person, 12 years, right? So that is why Dumbledore thought Sirius just went crazy and told Voldemort. I'm saying as a kid, I didn't know because I felt like if he was in the Order, why the fuck would you think he would just double cross you all of a sudden? But he didn't know. He was looking at it as, oh, he just went crazy. He killed Pettigrew and he just turned on his best friend and so forth. And so it goes back to the prophecy thing. If Voldemort never marks either one of the boys, then he probably does stay immortal forever because he'll have nobody to share, that immense power with, right? So the like that's where the whole is Sirius good, is he bad? That's why Dumbledore didn't know. All of that ties back around to the Whomping Willow thing and Snape and shit, because Snape tells Dumbledore basically that he doesn't want Lupin to be there at the school. He thinks it's a bad idea, because he's not only he's a werewolf, so the kids would be in danger if they encounter him, but he thinks that Lupin, who was friends with Sirius, and Sirius went crazy, that means Lupin had to go crazy too, and that Lupin is going to help sneak Sirius into the castle so they can kill Harry Potter. That's what Snape is telling the Dumbledore, but Dumbledore obviously doesn't believe that, but I'm saying there's the whole thing, but Dumbledore felt like Dumbledore felt like it wouldn't be fair for Lupin to not come to Hogwarts just because he was a not a vampire, I'm sorry, a werewolf. He he thought that wasn't fair. And so, like I said, he had the Shrieking Shack built and the Whomping Willow. Obviously, there's like a little knot on the tree that you got to get really close to it to touch, obviously. But if you touch the knot, it makes the tree freeze and stop moving. He would go in there to change, because this is before he knew about the Wolfsbane potion. So once a month, he would go there to change. But Peter, Sirius, and James would notice that their friend would always disappear. And when he came back, he always looked rugged and had scars on him, and they didn't know what it was. Finally, he told them that he was a werewolf. So then by the 5th year, they decided that, well, we may not be able to be werewolves, but we can try to help you or empathize with you. So they all did the magical process of becoming animagus, right? One day, Snape gets the bright idea of following them to the Whomping Willow. And right as he gets to the entrance, Lupin is coming out as full werewolf.
Yeah.
Right as Snape is about to walk in, and James grabs him and pulls him out of the way. And then the Lupin, the werewolf, he just runs off, into the forest or whatever he does. The point being, he always felt like he owed James for saving his life, right? And of course he knew, but because that was such a close call, that's why they then decided to make the Marauders map, so they could know where everybody was, and we wouldn't have no more, close calls.
Yeah.
Now,
ain't Silverback the one that attacked Lupin?
Greyback?
Yeah, Greyback.
He said Silverback.
Silverback's an upgrade for that asshole.
Yo, hold on, wait. Okay, so I answer your question. I have to, Aaron. What's your problem with Greyback? What did he do to you?
It's not what he did to me. It's what he did to other people, and I hate him for it.
Okay, so what did he do to other people? Please elaborate.
Did you not just say that he is what turned Remus into a werewolf? Took a lot of autonomy. Took a lot of autonomy away from Remus. A lot of probably oh yeah, I'd love to go on a vacation to this, and this place, but fuck that idea because I have to be at the Shrieking Shack in 3 hours because of this asshole turning me into a werewolf.
No, wait. But didn't Greyback attack Ron's brother too?
Bill.
Yeah, and but he
didn't bite him though.
He just scratched him.
He attacked him, but he didn't like bite him. The reason,
but he scratched him though, because you see his face got scratched up though, didn't he? Yeah, because his face was scratched up. But again, so in this world, only a bite can transform into a werewolf. Like other stories, like it could be a scratch or a bite, you know, that could transform you into a werewolf. So in Harry Potter, the bite has to be a bite.
It's the bite, yeah, and it's kind of like that's why they show it in the movie. I don't think this is how she gets killed in the actual like book, but it shows him kind of like biting Lavender, like in the Battle of Hogwarts at the very end. Lavender was the chick that was like all clingy with Ron in Half-Blood Prince. If she had been alive, then she would have turned into a werewolf. And I don't think it's immediate, like you're gonna change right then and there in that second. But when he got bit, he was, I think, only like 11 or 12 or something, maybe a little younger than that, actually. When he got bit, and because he was a werewolf, he wasn't pure blood, so Voldemort never officially made him a Death Eater. So he had this allegiance to somebody who didn't really fully trust him, but he was so like
what? So Greyback is what an actual like, I guess you want to call like human werewolves in a way.
No, he turns into a full werewolf like Lupin does.
Oh, he does, but we never see it though. We always see him like the way he looks. I thought that was like these are like werewolves, but if you get bit by one, you turn into like an actual like werewolf. Like these were like
he actually turns into like a full werewolf as well. I'm not sure. They never actually say if he uses Wolfsbane potion or not. They never actually say if Greyback uses it.
Well, you see Greyback, his face is all like werewolfy. He's got teeth.
It's almost like that. He looks like Sabretooth almost from X-Men. Like it's like he's right in the middle of both. I know what you're saying.
That's why I thought that there was actually a race of like those type of werewolves that they stay in human form, but they got the features of the wolves, right? Or like monsters, right? And then when they bit somebody, then those people that got bit turn into like werewolves, like Lupin did. That's why I thought that there was like two different types of werewolves in this realm of Harry Potter.
Yeah, and it might be because you know how in Harry Potter, like people have different abilities and stuff they can do, and how they kind of like master it or get better at it, or kind of they get it more under control. That might have been I had to like look it up and see if it could have, maybe it was like his choice where he's kind of like in the middle of both. He's not full werewolf, he's not full human, he's kind of in the middle of that, but that's how he was able to kind of control it. Whereas Lupin's thing was full moon, boom. Unless he had already taken the Wolfsbane potion.
But is Lupin's son a werewolf too?
It never was explained. They never actually talked about it.
I was curious about, because if he's a werewolf, I mean, come on, this kid got to be turned church.
And you know what's interesting about that too, that you brought that up. If it can be passed on like that genetically, then I cannot remember what the term is of what Tonks is, but it makes you wonder if Teddy also would have those powers too. Because you know how she could like change her hair color at will. She could change her nose into like
Nymphadora.
What's her name? Nymphadora.
Well, that's her name, Nymphadora.
Yeah. That's her first
no, I thought her name was Tonks, and then this was because when you see oh my God, what's the professor's name? Mad-Eye Moody. He's like, oh yeah, she's an Nymphadora. He's like, don't call me Nymphadora.
No,
I thought that was like her thing that she can. That's what they call people that can change themselves. It's like whatever. That's what I thought
what happened was Harry was asking. Remember, Harry was talking about how he had been suspended for using magic outside of Hogwarts. He had been expelled, and then remember Kingsley was that's the guy with like all the African kind of shit on. He had the kufi hat on. He was like, the minister has suspended it, with a formal hearing, and then I can't remember what he said after that, but then Tonks said, we'll explain the rest of it when we get back to headquarters. And then that's when Mad-Eye was like, not here, Nymphadora. That's her first name.
Okay.
But does it ever disclose why she doesn't like her first name? Or
I don't think that they actually said why she disliked it. But I do know that it was one of those things where it was, she just had like the mononym, you know what I mean? Just call me Tonks. Like, cause like, same thing. Draco never told anybody. He never like after that first meeting with Ron and Harry in the Great Hall. After that, it's just Malfoy. They only call him Malfoy. He only refers to himself as Malfoy. Everybody in Slytherin, Blaze, Pansy Parkinson, Crabbe, Goyle, they always call him Malfoy. They never say Draco. I'm not sure why she disliked her name.
I wonder if see, I don't know. I don't know what came first, the books or fucking Dragonheart. Because I wonder more if she took Draco from fucking the dragon from Dragonheart Draco and used that. So that'd be a cool name to use for one like that.
Doesn't Draco mean dragon in Latin though?
Yeah.
There you go. Because she used that a lot. Because like Voldemort means fear of death in French. So, she used a lot of different, like pieces of language. It says that Nymphadora, Lupin, maiden name Tonks. It says she was a British half-blood witch and a metamorph magus. That's what her actual ability. Metamorph magus.
She turns her hair red when she gets mad and stuff like that and everything else, yeah.
And she was in Hufflepuff. She was an Aura.
She was a Aura.
Aura. Let me see. I don't know that there actually was I don't know that there's actually a reason that they explained it. Excuse me. But that's why she just kind of like changed her name to shortened it to just like Dora rather than Nymphadora, right? Because nobody wants to just be randomly called a nympho. Like we all know what that means. So she might have had.
Yeah, that would have been wild if JK went with that.
Oh, another part that we have to talk about that is just because we were talking about your boy Lockhart. Two things. One, when he was like, this shit that killed me was when he was like, "Oh, I'll just ask the three of you to nip them back in their cage." That shit had me fucking rolling because like he caused all of this chaos, and then remember he was so like he's so self-centered.
Yeah.
Remember the Pixies were flying away with a picture of him, and he ran up the stairs to try to get that from the Pixies. He was more focused on that than the children's safety. They're fucking lifting Neville up and putting him on like the chandelier or whatever it was, and the only thing that he was thinking about was like, I'll just ask the three of you to nip them back in their cage, please. And he just dipped through that door. The other part is the now, Harry, don't worry. I can fix that arm for you straight away. Harry said, "No, not you." He said, "Oh, dear boy, he doesn't know what he's saying." Now, he's like, "It should be very, very easy." And the boy said, "Brachiam, Imindo." Boy's arm was fucking.
And then I love how he tried to like upsell his shit. He's like, "Oh, you're much more flexible now." It's like, thanks. That's what I asked for.
The way he was like, as you can see, he feels no pain, and there are clearly no broken. There's clearly no broken bones.
There's no bones left.
Could you imagine if Hagrid just decked Lockhart in the face after that? Lockhart probably be dead because Hagrid was pissed.
It's the way he folded his shit back and was like, "Oh yeah, he's much more flexible though." And I think in that particular chapter in the book, like how they're racing like for the snitch, Harry and Malfoy.
Yeah,
and I can't remember. Malfoy tried to get cute and like remember his broom caught like that piece of wood and he went tumbling. All right.
He did the super splits. Oh my god.
The way he landed was fucked up, right?
And then his dad was like, "Oh my god, how dare my son get hurt? What an embarrassment." It's like, what a piece of shit.
Well, his thing was he spent all that money on them fucking brooms, so he was hot. But the and
Boo-hoo.
I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that was his reasoning. I'm thinking the shit that killed me though is when they cut to the hospital wing and Harry's in there and Malfoy's on the table.
She said you can go.
Hey, Mr. Malfoy, stop making such a fuss. You can go. That shit had me scream. She didn't give a fuck about it. Like,
Hey, you know what sucks is that he lands that way again in that movie. I was like, oh my god.
Again, what was the second time?
Yeah, well, when he was fighting Harry, and Harry like
during the duel
over and still like that. Yeah, he had like the splits too right there.
Yeah.
He always upplayed his fucking injuries. Like, remember he was like, does it hurt terribly, Draco? He's like, and according to Madame Pumphrey, another minute or two, and I could have lost my arm. I couldn't possibly do any homework for weeks. That shit had me fucking dying. Like, dude, like you're not that dude. And then like next time y'all watch Prisoner of Azkaban, I'm telling you, just as a treat to yourself, put your Blu-ray player.
Here, I'll be right back, guys. Give me a second.
Okay.
It's
killing me.
If you watch it like on like something where you could slow it down, because streaming services don't allow you to like put it in like half speed or whatever. Go back and watch it. The scene where he's like, "Yo, you're not." He's like, "Yo, you're not scary at all," or whatever he says when he's like pimping up to Buckbeak, right?
Buckbeak, yeah.
And so like he's like, "Oh, you're not scary at all, are you?" And then when he walks up, he's like Buckbeak starts to to actually buck, and he's like he's like, "Oh, but his face, the way his face went from to like that. That shit absolutely kills me every time I see it. Like
I was telling Sia, man, like I don't feel like anybody was miscast in that series, which is insane. Because
what's her opinion on the two Dumbledores? Which one does she like better?
Which Dumbledore do you like better? She's thinking. She's thinking real hard. That did remind me of how we were talking about like how like Michael Gambon's like had a little bit like more authority. I forgot about the moment where in the first one where he shouted like silence, like that very much commanded authority.
But that's like the only time that you really kind of see it from that version of it.
Both of them. Dumbledore is both of them to me.
She says in her mind it's an amalgamation of both of them, that they're both Dumbledore to her.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not. I just like ask her if she thought that Richard Harris could have played like the fight between Voldemort, because think Richard Harris he moved a lot slower. He was more
right.
Could he have been? I'm not saying it was a super high energy fight or nothing, but that Dumbledore was a little bit more agile. He was a little bit more, to the point. Remember, like he's dueling Voldemort and he knocks Harry back and still goes back to fight, like all kind of in like one swift motion. And it's nothing against Richard Harris. I just don't think that he would have.
They were two different. I shouldn't say like necessarily like age groups, because they were both, I guess, like senior, but still different age ranges, and they could have been more mobile than the other. You know what I mean?
Let me see. Can you see? I'm trying to see.
Or are you trying to show where his face goes?
Let me see if I turn the brightness down, if it'll help.
Do you think that Richard Harris could have done the fight with Voldemort?
I think that would have been amazing.
She thinks that it would have been amazing. Oh, I think I can see.
Let me see. I'm trying to get the. I'm not sure what the glare is.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I see it better now.
Look at his face.
Immediately his jaw drops. Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it, because I never caught it, and the fact that, oh, you and your bloody chicken, and like what's even funnier about that, or kind of like patronizing, because Hermione runs up and she's like, Hagrid, he has to be taken to the hospital. And he's like, I'm the teacher, I'll do it. Like as he's picking him up, he's like, oh, you're gonna pay for this, you and your bloody chicken. And he's like holding his arm and shit. Dude, this shit that in the background, Buckbeak walks up to Harry with his beak, and he's just like, just like how cats do. And he's just all nice, like rubbing up against Harry and shit. Like, like
it would have been hilarious if Hagrid just dropped him after you're gonna pay for this. It's like, I didn't do shit to you, you idiot.
It's like when Peter tried to run from Death on Family Guy, and Death slipped on the ice and sprained his ankle. So Peter had to carry him into the house, and he dropped him on the couch. And he was like, "Oh yeah, drop me on the couch real hard. That felt good. Yeah, thank you."
And like what it kills me how like dangerous Hogwarts is, and there's like, yep, this is just how the place is. It's like, because I mean, in the game, how you were showing me, I was like, yeah, this is the Forbidden Forest, and it's just signs. It's wooden signs.
Real shit.
Some of the laziest shit you can.
And then too, remember how Dumbledore was like, he was like, the left-hand corridor is out of bounds to anybody that doesn't want to die a painful, horrific death. That's it? That's all you said, my nigga? Like, how come the step don't even
something that Ron said? It's something that Ron said is like, he's got to be joking.
Like, I don't know if it was in that one, but I know what you mean. Yeah, like that.
And then like it says, like it said in the book that like is like he usually gives a reason why we can't go there, and he didn't even do that.
Yeah, you okay, Shake?
Yep, I saw the bathroom.
No, I was thinking like you're right, and I know a lot of people like there's like a a whole like we hate Dumbledore campaign because they feel like he always put the kids in danger and all this and that. But to be honest,
that's not just him. That's like the entire faculty.
But wait though, like to be honest, the Golden Trio and maybe Malfoy to a lesser degree are really the only ones that are ever like getting into trouble though. You know what I'm saying? There were a couple of like people who were kind of like fodder, if you will, when they got petrified, like Justin, Ginny, like yeah, no, I'm saying like there were other people who kind of caught, like the brunt of that, at some point. But the point that I was making, like who would you say?
Definitely Myrtle.
Like, but he wasn't the headmaster at the time she died, though.
Yes, but I mean she's still fodder, and that's what I mean.
No, but what I'm saying it in the sense of it's just like a small like concentration of kids that are really, really in danger, because you don't hear about a huge group of kids wandering into the Forbidden Forest and getting attacked by the Acromantulas or getting attacked by the centaurs or any of that shit. The danger only really comes out when the Golden Trio is kind of involved, or you know what I mean, something like that. Even with the like the Triwizard Tournament, Harry was in the tournament, and so they don't explain this in the movie, but you know how in the Half-Blood Prince they're sitting on the train going back for it's like Christmas break, I think it is, and that's when Lavender comes and like she like makes the heart on the door and shit, and Ron is just like, and the shit that makes me laugh is how Harry is like he sees her like like and like make the heart, and he's like looking away and just like picking at shit, like trying not to look at the awkwardness, right? And then that's when Hermione walks back up and she sees the heart and the L and the R, and she gets mad and she walks off. And then remember that's when he was like, you sure you heard him correctly? It's like unbreakable vow. He was like, well, it's just that you can't break an unbreakable vow. And he was like, yeah, I worked that part out myself, actually. But then remember later on, he was like, so what happens if you break an unbreakable vow? He was like, you die.
Yeah, Harry's snarky as shit, and he straight up tells like his friends, like at least once in the book, he's like, shut up.
Yeah, really. Like, and but that's what I'm saying. In the Goblet of Fire, it doesn't say it in the movie, but there's So Harry ends up getting like the prize money for winning, and then he gives it to the Weasleys. That's how they open Weasley's Wizard Wheezes,
Yeah.
their store in Diagon Alley. They opened that with the money Harry gave to them for winning the Triwizard Tournament, and then I think he gave the cup to somebody else. I can't remember if it was
Hey,
Sirius.
Harry was fucking rich.
Right, yeah, he didn't need it, and then
Yeah,
the actual cup, once it was like unbewitched from being a port key, the trophy, you know what I mean? I think he gave it to Sirius or somebody else. I can't remember, but he was like in the hospital wing, like after the whole, like duel with Voldemort in the graveyard and shit. But the point I was making is they don't explain it in the movie, but if you get picked for the Triwizard Tournament and you refuse to participate, you die. So that's why remember when Cornelius Fudge was talking and he was like the Goblet of Fire institutes a binding magical contract, therefore for their own safety no student under the age of 17 shall be allowed to put forth their name in the cup, because it's like if you get picked you have to participate. Obviously we know Triwizard, it was only supposed to be 3 of them and everything, but the
this
point
is
being,
right?
Yeah, it's the quad wizard tournament, like, but yeah, I mean, I think that, like, I mean, Shay, what's your opinion on that whole thing? Like, because there's a whole like group of fans who just see Dumbledore as as a villain, as an antagonist. They see him as like all he did was like put everybody in danger, and I just feel like the Golden Trio was bound to get in trouble because they were doing the most rule breaking and shit like that. You know what I mean? You don't hear none of that. Like the old Ravenclaw kids, like wandered into the Dark Forest and they saw these big ass spiders or whatever. You don't ever hear about none of that shit. It's just like the characters that the focus is on.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know. I mean, like when it comes to Dumbledore, I mean, I never really saw Dumbledore as like a villain.
Keep talking.
I mean, like as I watch the films and as I got older and stuff like that, I mean, I could kind of see like what they're talking about. But again, it's like because Dumbledore never really. I guess like Dumbledore was always there for Harry, but he was like never like make it like talk with Harry in a way, like hey, But again, the way Harry and Hermione and Ron always did break the rules, whatever. But I mean, but at that time, there was like they're always breaking these rules and people would get hurt or whatever. It's like I think I need to expel you guys because you guys are keep through so much.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, because they're always getting something. And when it comes to Dumbledore, the headmaster's like, I need to expel you guys, man, because you guys get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry,
I don't think that he's a straight up antagonist. I think that
I see Dumbledore as more as what's one looking for? I see Dumbledore more as like the guardian to the destination. Mm-hmm. Because again, he knew about, like I said, he knew about Harry Potter. He knew about Voldemort was going to return one day, and everything else. And Harry's was the only one that could do it, and this is how it has to be. And he just basically groomed Harry to fulfill that role. And that's why I kind of see. I mean, no matter what, he had to keep Harry in Hogwarts. He had to make sure Harry knew what to do, and
he may not have liked it, but it's what he had to.
Yeah, he had to do it. He knew that Harry was the only one that can destroy Voldemort, and that's what it was. I mean, I think even Dumbledore knew that Harry Potter was he already knew Harry was a Horcrux himself. So it's like you're a Horcrux. Like Dumbledore already knew about the Horcrux, and again, I think Harry Potter knew he was a Horcrux in a way. No, Dumbledore knew that, but again, it was kind of like I think he found out later on that he was a Horcrux. But like my whole thing is like, like even with Dumbledore, like my thing with Dumbledore is. We're gonna talk about this, and then we're going to kind of wrap it up because again, kind of late. But like in the Chamber of Secrets, when Dumbledore is with Malfoy, and he's like, and Malfoy's like, "Oh man, you're back. Oh, this is ridiculous." Blah blah. And then of course Dumbledore spoke a spiel about hey, it was Voldemort. This is the book, or his diary. He can use it, whatever. Blah blah. And then if you find out,
talking about the Chamber of Secrets, how Lucius came in and then Voldemort spilling. not Voldemort, Jesus Christ.
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore spilling is like, oh yeah, this is the diary. It was actually Voldemort, and he's like, and if we find out like the culprit, they will be such and such.
Right, knowing that it was Lucius who had it in his possession anyway.
Yeah, but still, but I understand. Well, how come he's like, hey man, we knew it was you, motherfucker. You're arrested. You know, there was none of that.
Get his ass, yeah.
Yeah, it was none of that. And it was like Dumbledore was like, I'll let you go. Forget it.
Well, I feel like, I mean, I don't know this. Like, I don't know if this is like, what the exact answer is, but I feel like maybe some of it was what would have been the proof. None of the Death Eaters are going to get on the stand and go against Lucius Malfoy. So
yeah, but that's pretty much what he said though to Harry. He's like, like why don't you prove it?
Yeah. And see, and he had so much money and so much like shit on his side. You'd be tied up in litigation for no reason because Cornelius Fudge was Malfoy was in Cornelius Fudge's ear all the time. So Cornelius Fudge was kind of like, it's like remember how Dumbledore was talking in Order of the Phoenix about, he was like, it clearly has become commonplace to have a full criminal trial for something as minor as underage magic. You know what I mean? Remember in the hallway when Arthur Weasley was walking Harry to the little room, he was like, I'm not allowed in, I'm afraid. But remember, Arthur, as they're walking, Lucius is talking to Cornelius Fudge right before he's about to go take the stand.
And something that I just now realized because we watched Prisoner of Azkaban, I think just the other night, and like just how you said, Donnie, like when do you have a trial for like underage magic? He does underage magic in the Prisoner of Azkaban, and all the minister does is just like, it's all good, don't worry about it.
But see, but I think the reason why. But this was before Cornelius he was so worried about Voldemort's return, and when they said, "Hey, Voldemort back," he didn't want to believe it. Like he knew what was going to happen.
He was in denial.
Like, we can't put this rumor out because it's going to go. Everybody's going to go crazy, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it, but I don't see it. I don't believe it, right? But when it came to Azkaban, it was more like, okay, like, hey, you kind of did this. We're going to kind of slap on the wrist, hey, don't worry about it. It's good. Just don't do it again. But again, at the same time, Sirius Black escaped. And of course, they knew that if, he was, he's a bad guy, right? So, hey, he's going to go after Harry. So the safest place for Harry right now is at Hogwarts. And they knew, like, that's the safe place for Harry to be.
To save face. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why Cornelius was like, yeah, you can go back to Hogwarts. That's the safe place you're going to be right now.
Right.
You're going to be fucked up.
I was going to say, it's not like they're going to put him in Azkaban. And then what happened is, that picture that Ron shows Harry when they're there at the Leaky Cauldron of him and his family, like in Egypt or something.
Mm-hmm.
The Daily Prophet was given to some of the prisoners who asked for it in Azkaban, and Sirius had a copy, and that he saw that picture. That picture was in the newspaper at some point. Excuse me. And he saw Ron holding a rat that was missing a toe. That's how he saw that Peter was still alive. That's when he broke out, because the Dementors, they're blind, right? And then they can't sense animals as well as they can sense humans. So he turned into the dog, and that's how he was able to slip past them.
Yeah.
What happened with Barty Crouch? Like Barty Crouch Jr., this is something that definitely should have been in the movie. Obviously, he was in Azkaban, for life for torturing the Longbottom family, right? He was never going to get out, but his mom, she was dying from an illness. I don't know what it was, but she was dying, and her last wish was to see her son. So,
hang on, one second. We have a chat by DJ Smokey, and let's read this. It says, "What do you think on whether or not individuals can be in a relationship with animals? If it's purely platonic, like just friends, no penetration, should you be allowed to be married if it's just friends?"
Is this talking like Animega's werewolf or something? Because that's a little wild.
I don't know.
No pun intended.
If you marry like an animagus, I mean, they want. I mean, if you're kind of like into that kind of thing, I mean, you can like, hey, turn to a dog, and
I feel like there's more context needed, Sir DJ Smokey.
The fact, yeah, because like, are we still talking about Harry Potter? Like, because if not, like, I mean, I'm not getting involved. But the
yeah, I'll go with outside of Harry Potter. How about no?
you crazy quote. Dutch bastard. The
within Harry Potter, maybe
still no. But
technically, I mean, because Tonks married Lupin, but of course, like Lupin's a werewolf. I mean, you can't deal with that because he'll like kill you. But I mean, with the Animagus, I mean, you know, you got serious body.
Hey, this is where I'm happy I'm a Muggle, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I mean, like, I don't know. Is not turning into a dog and fucking anybody. Come on, man. That's some wild shit. Like the fact though,
he said we said within the Harry Potter world, but I mean he said like with like what he said with no penetration. You know what I mean? So I mean, I guess in a way, like I guess you can marry Animagus and we're.
I mean, if you feel, I guess that it's your.
But hang on. Look at Filch, right? He's so in love with his cat, you know, like he's always with his cat. I mean,
that's a lonely ass.
To his cat, you know, you never know.
Right, but neither one of them are an Animagus. Matter of fact, Professor, I keep calling him Professor, but Filch is a squib. Actually, that's what I was going to ask you guys. That's why it originally brought up the Whomping Willow thing when they're going in, and you know, Harry is like, he's like. So a house elf shows up in my bedroom. We can't get through the platform 9 3/4. We almost get killed by a tree. Clearly somebody doesn't want me here. Doesn't want me at Hogwarts. You know, he's saying that, right? And remember, they leave the luggage and Hedwig and Scabbers, you know, they leave them and they go around, they go up to the stairs, and remember that's when they see Mr. Filch, and he's like, you lads might want to enjoy your time in the castle. Tonight might be the last night you spend in the castle.
Oh dear, we are in trouble.
And then right after that, it goes into like Snape, like, you know, like reprimanding them and all that.
Daily Prophet, yeah.
There's a little bit like more that happens. They're trying to get to the Great Hall when they do get caught because they figured that that's where everybody would be. But no, what I was gonna say is so after they're scolding and, you know, they're thinking, oh, we're going to get expelled or whatever, you know, Professor McGonagall's like, not today, Mr. Weasley, you know. After that happens, they're getting ready to leave Snape's office or whatever that room was that they were in. And there's something on the ground and Harry picks it up and he's like, Mr. Filch, you dropped this. And he takes it from him real quick and he's kind of like looking around and he hurries up and like stuffs it in his pocket. And he goes back to like petting the cat and kind of like looking around. Ron, when a part of his detention was he had to like shine a bunch of silver, you know, like in the trophy room and stuff. And this is after he still was dealing with the eat slugs backfire. Yeah. So he was talking about how he had to keep cleaning like certain pieces because he kept like coughing up slugs on like the particular thing he was talking about had something to do with Tom Riddle. That's why the name sounded familiar to him, because Tom Riddle had gotten an award for special services to the school because of the, you know, at first they didn't realize that he had framed Hagrid. They thought that was like, you know, he really caught the culprit. But he was looking through some more stuff and he found there were these, I think, like letters from some kind of company. I can't remember what it was called, but they were sending like magic kits and like stuff for like beginners magic for Filch to try to practice magic because he's a squib, in the sense that both of his parents are a witch and a wizard, but he has no powers at all. And and so he was like sneaking and trying to study magic, you know, even like the most minor thing, so he could have powers and not be left out. But let me say, excuse me, let me just end with this point. Shape was, we were talking how the Dementors, like, they can't really sense, like, yeah, since they can't see, they just have to go off of their sense. So Barty Crouch Jr., his mother, she was dying, and her dying wish was to see her son one more time. So Barty Crouch Sr. made Polyjuice Potion when he went and visited. He made Polyjuice Potion and then he and his wife go to visit their son, right? Like I said, she's about to die and everything. So he sneaks the Polyjuice potion in because the Dementors can't see that, and then take out the hair from Barty Crouch Jr. from the mom. Then they drink it, right? So then the mom becomes Barty Crouch Jr. Barty Crouch Jr. becomes the mom, and then they leave. And so that's how Barty Crouch Sr. broke his son out of prison. Then his mom, within the time it took for her to turn back to herself, she had died. And so all the Dementors could sense was there was one healthy person and one person with a weak life force when they came in. And that's the same thing they sensed when they were leaving. So they didn't realize that they, had been bamboozled by the Polyjuice potion. So she dies in Azkaban. So that's what made everybody think Barty Crouch Jr. was already dead, like that Death Eater, like Snape and them. A lot of them thought.
So wait. So he stuck his own son out of Azkaban, and then what? Did Barty Crouch Jr. like disappeared?
No, he took him to to their family home, and they have a house elf named Winky, and she was kind of supposed to watch over him, and Barty Crouch Sr. would put him under the Imperius curse, then leave and go to work. Then he would come back, and do it again, and he just kept him under the Imperius curse. Like, think of it like it's like
how did he escape that to be able to help Wormtail with Voldemort?
So what happened is, just like with anything, repeated exposure to it will allow you to build a tolerance to it. So he started to build a tolerance to the Imperius curse to the point where it wasn't putting him in that dazed state or like in a mind controlled state. It to the point where he was able, like, he was basically faking like he was still in that dazed state, but he had been, we're talking about like a year's time that his dad was doing this to him every day, and eventually he got strong enough where he could fight back and kind of resist it, where it didn't work on him anymore. So then that's when he took he went with he steals Harry's cloak at the Quidditch World Cup. He steals his wand. I'm sorry, he steals his wand. Everybody, he like put him in like a disguise so nobody knew it was Barty Crouch Jr. And then it was Barty Crouch Sr., Jr., and Winky came to the Quidditch World Cup. Nobody realized that it was Barty Crouch Jr. because he had him in like some makeup and shit, right? And he steals in that whole shit with the when Malfoy, they're like, oh, we're in the minister's box, invited by Cornelius Fudge, and there's like a more drawn out scene in the book, and he sneaks the wand he had. See, there are multiple in the Harry Potter universe. There are multiple invisibility cloaks that you can buy, but the invisibility cloak is the one that Harry has. But you can buy an invisibility cloak. It just does not have the powers and shit that like Harry's. Eventually, it will start to wear out where it doesn't make you invisible anymore, and you would have to buy a new one. Whereas Harry's, like, it doesn't. That never happens to it. Yeah. It's like it's damn near indestructible, that kind of shit. So they had an invisibility cloak. They had him under it. Now, Barty Crouch Sr. thinks that he still has him under the Imperius curse. Well, he was just faking like he was under mind control. He was under the invisibility cloak. He steals Harry's wand out of his back pocket, and that's what he uses to Mos Morda when he made the dark mark in the sky. And then from that point, that's how he escapes. When the Death Eaters come in and they're like fucking shit up, and then he leaves the wand. I think he left it near Winky, and she had picked it up. So now it looks like she had it, and she's the one that conjured the dark mark. Now he fucks off, and he goes back to the, the mansion we were talking about at the top of the hill, where they kill the caretaker. That's when he goes back there, and then that's when they start working through more to plan him, Voldemort, and Wormtail. But that's how he escaped from being controlled by his dad, is that he had built up a tolerance to the Imperius curse to the point where it didn't work anymore. Now, I wonder if a stronger wizard had done it, then it might have worked again. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that Barty Crouch Sr. wasn't strong, but I'm saying if Dumbledore had done it, he might not have been able to resist it, you know, just because he's a more powerful wizard. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that's how Barty Crouch Jr. escapes from his dad and gets back to Voldemort. And that's why also shaped. That's why Greyback wasn't in the cemetery at the end, because he doesn't have a dark mark, because he never was officially initiated in. And you know, when Voldemort touches one Death Eater's dark mark, it makes them burn on all the other Death Eater's arms. That's how they know to come to said agreed upon meeting place. Like, you know, it was already said beforehand. And I heard you guys when I ran to the bathroom real quick. You said that Dumbledore knew that Harry was a Horcrux. Dumbledore had like suspected Horcruxes, but he had no proof of them. Obviously, that's why Slughorn was so essential to him figuring that out. But he didn't actually realize or know Harry was a Horcrux until that moment in Dumbledore's office when he touched the ring, when Harry touched the ring and it starts spinning by itself. And you remember he was saying Harry was like, "Oh, that's where you've been going when you leave the castle." And Dumbledore was like, "Yes." And then Dumbledore, he's looking at Harry and he's like, "And I think I might have just found another." It wasn't about the locket. It was Harry that he had just realized that Harry was a Horcrux, because when he touched the ring, it reacted. Like, Half-Blood Prince has so much. I don't know, we'll get there at some point. Like, there's so much taken out. You know, like the whole fucking like middle of the book, it's just like every Saturday or Friday night, whatever it was, Harry would meet with Dumbledore. And you know how he had that cabinet of memories, and he was like, all of these memories pertain to one individual, Voldemort, or as he was known then, Tom Riddle. And he's like, this one contains perhaps the most important memory. The first day I met it, I'd like you to see it. Well, they go through that entire cabinet of memories in the book that shows every interaction Dumbledore ever had with him. You know what I mean? So the movie cut out a lot of detail. But when he was like, Horcruxes, he was like, this is beyond anything I imagined. You know, it could a ring, a book, for example. But then when he touched the ring, because it used to be a Horcrux, you know, Voldemort's spirit is in, or his soul, piece of his soul is in Harry. That's what made it react like that. And that's why, like, you know, that's why when he had the locket on and he was swimming down to get the sword of Gryffindor, the locket started choking him because it fears the sword, because, you know, it's pure. Like, it's the reason why Voldemort couldn't defile it. I mean, he couldn't get it because he wasn't a Gryffindor, but even if he had, it's so pure by it being goblin made, he wouldn't have been able to make it a Horcrux. But I just was saying that Dumbledore didn't actually know that Harry was a Horcrux until Half-Blood Prince. Like, that's when he actually found out.
All right, you guys. That's the end of our live stream night. Sorry, I'm actually kind of tired tonight.
I think it's the change, man.
Really. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Geez, yeah, yesterday at work, man, I was freaking. God dang, I was tired of shit yesterday.
Yeah, I pounded coffee today. Pretty heavy, so.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on again, and then of course everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for showing up, and also too, maybe possibly next week we'll do it. Go ahead and talk about Prisoner of Azkaban and Goblet of Fire, because there's a lot more stuff to talk about with those ones. So probably do that. Probably do that next week. Be part 2 of Harry Potter talk, and then of course, guys, you guys got anything you guys want to say before we head out?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm glad that I'm starting to listen to the books. I'm not devout enough, I guess, to read as of yet, but I'm still very much enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, like I think it's gonna be cool, especially once you get to some of the other books. You're just gonna hear details and stuff that you're like, this was nowhere in the movie, you know. But Shape, man, thanks for having us on, man. Thank you for talking about Harry Potter, man. It's just, you know, it's just something that I love. I actually might play Hogwarts Legacy when we end this now, but I just, you know, like I said, man, I just love that shit. It's like escapism. No matter what's going on with me and how maybe bad my life is, or whatever, I can put Harry Potter on, and for that 2 hours and 10 minutes, whatever it is, I'm just gone. Like, nothing is wrong with me. I'm a wizard, whatever it is. It's like, matter of fact, like, look, I don't know if you can kind of see that.
The wand.
Well, I don't know that he's seen it. The wand chooses the wizard, Mr. Shape. All right.
The knife chooses me. Oh, yes, put the Elder Wand.
Yeah, I like the Goblet of Fire is the first time that you see this wand, and you guys know how like Dumbledore was pulling the memories out of his head, and I saw this, and I always wondered like, well, what's up with Dumbledore's wand? The reason it has like the beads like going to, I always wondered why. Of course, we obviously would later find out like the significance of that wand, but when I first seen it, I was like, there's got to be something different about his than everybody else's, or like how Voldemort's has like that little hook at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was so he could like have it like on the edge of his hand, so he could hold it in his hand, and it would kind of wrap around like the back part of his hand, and he wouldn't drop it. That way, he could be more like snake-like with his movements, and still not like drop it out of his possession. But had a bad day at the hospital, man. I had to walk out because of some nonsense that happened. So like I needed this for sure, and I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah. So we'll probably continue the Harry Potter talk the next couple weeks until we get done, and then possibly after that we'll probably start maybe because around the Christmas time. For some reason, around Christmas time, man, I get like hooked on fucking Star Wars, man. You got the fucking Mandalorian helmet over here and shit like that. So, yeah, for around Christmas time, I always get hooked on fucking Star Wars for some reason. Like Star Wars is like my Christmas time, like movies too, with the rest of the Christmas movies.
We should see if we could get Anthony to join us for the Star Wars talk.
Oh yeah, for sure. When he's available, yeah, for sure. I'll hit him up with that. But yeah, we'll continue the Harry Potter talk next week, and the week after we finish it. Next week will be next week's gonna be the Prisoner of Azkaban and the Goblet of Fire, and then of course after that we'll get to talk to the good ones, the Order of Phoenix and everything else. So,
oh man,
all right, will we do 9 o'clock next week as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why I did 8 o'clock for the Halloween party because I want to start a little early. That way, everybody can, so that way, push people that, may have to work, whatever, whoever could come on, they don't have to worry about, trying to get on 9 and then like stay for a second. And that way they were there for the giveaway when I did their drawing and stuff like that. So that's why I did a little early that day.
Got you. Okay. And for the record, when I looked it up, it said that the basilisk basically ate like skeletons and rats that were in the chamber. And to me, that seems even like a worse answer than it eating a chicken. Because if your complaint is that one chicken shouldn't nourish it, there's no way a rat this big is going to be more nourishing for it. But you also got to remember, when it's in the head of Slytherin, it's in hibernation. Like, so when it's in hibernation, it doesn't have to eat. You know what I mean? It's like how bears start to eat like grass and all that stuff before they hibernate, so they don't have to go to the bathroom, and then they sleep the entire wintertime. But based off of what they had eaten before, they don't. It's not necessary. That's just a little nugget I wanted to throw in there because I know that's like your biggest problem with it.
Yeah. But again, everybody, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoy. And again, everybody, you can find these guys on Instagram and of course Dine's Guys YouTube channel. Go and check them out. And then as always, guys, the shape is always in the shadows. Until next time, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good night.
Peace.